Yo, what's going on, y'all?
What's happening, everybody?
Welcome to Facemask Fantasy. And yeah, this is the first Saturday night stream that we've had doing this together in a while.
It is. Past couple of weeks, I've been either traveling or hosting from out of town. So my schedule's been a little tight, but available now and ready to talk shop. And there are probably a lot of things to get to that people are trying to navigate right now, because there are some situations that have developed over the past 48 hours or less.
Yeah, man, I'm still trying to digest whatever is going on with Cam Akers.
Yup.
We know a whole lot of nothing on it. I know you were texting me last night, should we do a video on it? And kind of came to the conclusion that, yeah, we just don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
We don't know enough yet. We got a couple of comments from McVay.
Yeah, sounds like his future is murky, but nothing's been confirmed. You know how this goes in the NFL. Something you could assume one thing and the exact opposite happens. It could swing in another direction. Like, you don't know.
Yeah. But we already got questions in the chat. So let's talk about Cam Akers when we get a Cam Akers question. Damon Luce, Xavier Dubs, R. Avila, Greg Z, Hunter L. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, guys? This is that part of the season, right? It happens every year. You look at obvious names versus guys that are like,
like DJ Moore or Deion Jackson.
This is where we're at. Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm just gonna say Deion Jackson, dude. I'm just gonna say Deion Jackson. I know. We'll start at the top. I'm seeing that and being like, yo, wow.
This is where we're at.
Yep. But Damon Luce with the first question: Pickens or London full PPR?
I gotta go Pickens, even though it's a tough matchup. I don't have a ton of confidence in the Falcons throwing the ball right now. Mariota's throwing the ball the same amount that Justin Fields is, which is gross. And the 49ers are tops in the league in passing yards allowed. I'll go Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens has played never less than 70% of the snaps, no more than 85% of the snaps on the season. But still, I mean, I'm chasing that usage. Now that there's a quarterback that is looking his way, you look at the last 2 weeks in terms of usage for George Pickens: 8 targets in week 4, 8 targets in week 5, 6 receptions in both weeks. Didn't score a touchdown, but 83 yards last week in Buffalo against the Jets in week 4, 102 yards, first 100-yard game of his career. So yeah, going up against Tampa Bay, the team is going to have to keep pace. I like George Pickens this week.
Avila, what's going on? Waddle or Gallup? And Lamb did pop up on Friday on the injury report for the second straight week. Last week, it turned out to be nothing. This week, you're hoping it's the same story. Waddle, meanwhile, is going to be playing with a third-string quarterback in Skylar Thompson. I think
it's Gallup for me.
I think it might be Gallup. And Waddle is the more talented player. He's the better player. But Gallup, I think, right now has a quarterback that in Cooper Rush, you have a little bit more confidence in, like a little bit more.
Yeah, what is the word on Teddy Bridgewater? Because if it went back to just Teddy Bridgewater, it would go back into Waddle's direction. But the fact that we're dealing with Skylar Thompson, I think his name is.
Today he cleared concussion protocol.
Right,
but I thought I saw. Back up, okay. But he's going to back the rookie up. He's going to be the backup.
All right, well,
so
in that
Skylar
case,
Thompson's
you got to go Gallup. Cooper Rush has been playing too good, and Skylar Thompson just that first game was not it, and we can't trust anything but Tyreek Hill in this offense.
It's a better matchup for Waddle than it is for Gallup, but tougher to trust Skylar Thompson. I think I'd go Gallup.
Greg Z, you need help with JT out. I'm sure a lot of people are in the same position as you. Need to fill my flex after bumping up the RBs. Travis Etienne or Chris Olave, half PPR.
Etienne. Olave's did practice on Friday, but he's coming off the concussion. That's hard to trust. I know he's questionable. I'm still not even sure that he plays. I'll go with the straight up healthy player, Etienne, who I like anyway.
Yeah, they're both playing at 1 o'clock. So the benefit is if you are on the fence, you'll know who's playing around the same time. You'll know if Chris Olave is playing. If you want to trust the process with Chris Olave and just hope that he gets another 10-plus target game with no Michael Thomas, maybe no Jarvis Landry, Andy Dalton, who can pass it around a little bit still, even considering it is Andy Dalton. But yeah, I mean, I guess Travis Etienne.
Etienne's healthy. Olave's dealing with concussion, might not even play. And if he does, how much can you trust that situation? Etienne.
Well, I mean, it's just he's gonna get volume in half PPR.
I just don't trust the fact that the concussion happening a week ago. No, thank you.
Fair.
Even if he does suit up, Etienne.
And we already answered your question, Hunter. It's Deion Jackson for both of us.
Deion, that's where we're at.
And I hope your evening's going well. Going well. Xavier Dubs, Schultz or Hill at the tight end position this week, full PPR, and the Rams are probably going to trade him.
The Christian McCaffrey watch.
Yeah, got you. I mean, You can't trust Schultz at this point, and Hill is the tight end 3.
Yeah.
You cannot trust Schultz until he's all the way healthy and Dak is back. That's where I'm at with Schultz. Hill.
And Taysom is a little bit more trustworthy with as many guys out of the lineup that there are. They're just gonna call more plays for him. So yeah, Taysom
might get a few quarterback reps with Andy Dalton in being the QB1 for the game.
I think that's a safe bet.
Yep. Derek 2. Where's Derek 1? Do you think Mike Williams will do better than Keenan Allen once Keenan Allen is back?
Could. I mean, he's the one who's developed chemistry with he's got the rhythm and the rapport with Herbert right now. That's something that Allen's going to have to work his way back to. I mean, sure, he's younger. As of right now, doesn't have the injury concern. I mean, just because you get over a hamstring injury, that's a soft tissue injury. It doesn't mean that the possibility of it lingering is just gone forever. It's possible. We'll see. We got to let things play out. The NFL season is long and weird, but it's certainly possible.
You got to remember that Mike Williams was better than Keenan Allen when Mike Williams was fully healthy last season. Right. So, yeah, I think he's going to continue to do better this season. I do worry about Mike Williams a little bit as a 28-year-old big-bodied wide receiver because we've seen countless big-bodied wide receiver kind of fall off a cliff efficiency-wise at about that age, going from 28 to 29. We saw it just this season with Allen Robinson. We've seen it with Demaryius Thomas, RIP. We've seen it with Alshon Jeffrey. We've seen it with Dez Bryant. And I worry about Mike Williams, who prior to the year before last season was injury prone. But I still think as long as he can stay healthy, Mike Williams will do better than Keenan Allen, regardless of however Keenan Allen comes back healthy or otherwise.
Damon's got another question. ETN, London, Boone, or Edmonds? If you can only start one of these guys in a standard league,
ETN,
I'm going
right?
ETN. Yeah, I'm going ETN. Edmonds can't be trusted right now. London, I'm not crazy about this week. Standard makes me even less crazy about him. Boone looked good last week, but there's a big talent level drop as far as ETN compared to Boone, so ETN.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And Xavier Dobbs got Schultz and D. Harris on waivers.
That's weird. Damian Harris should have never been dropped. And I remember, I think, Xavier, you said it was a 10-team league. It's like, that's wild to me that he was dropped.
But your question is should I trade Brian Robinson, though? What's his value? He doesn't look bad, but Wentz couldn't convert for shit. Yeah.
No, don't trade.
I mean, depending on what your running back core looks like, put it in the chat. Put your whole running back core in the chat.
I guess you can.
I would definitely entertain it.
I mean, you got to get...
Because the team should go a little bit back Antonio Gibson's way. They should. And the coaching staff even admitted to that. They said that Antonio Gibson's usage was a coaching mistake. Riviera said that. Do I think he gets all of his work back? No. Do I think and even Brian Robinson gets his work scaled back just a little bit? Yes. And even then, the first and second down work on this team isn't valuable. Those aren't valuable touches. And I know we usually say it doesn't matter if a running back's on a bad team as long as he's getting volume. Depending on how many running backs you have, if Brian Robinson's your RB5, yeah, I would trade him.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, you should be able to ask right now, depending on what you include for a wide receiver 2 for him. Because he was first
CMC,
man up on the goal line.
Saquon, Hines, Brian Robinson, Gibson, Gus. So he's your RB3, 4.
He's your RB3.
And yeah, until Hines gets healthy.
And he's still your RB3. Gibson's your RB4. Hines is your RB5. Well, that could flip-flop. But right now, Brian Robinson is your third running back. I would hold one more week and see how this continues to shake out. Unless you get a really strong offer, and that would be a wide receiver 2 for me. Because all the argument is you need to make is, I heard the Gibson comment. Robinson got 17 touches and was first man up on the goal line. I'm not settling in my just because of the Gibson comment. I'm not I need a wide receiver 2, and even then, he's your RB3. I would say rather comfortably. Because what I've been an Antonio Gibson table pounder all off season long, but for whatever reason, the Commanders don't seem to agree with that notion. They view him as the change of pace guy, and the change of pace guy can get good work, but that's not going to change the fact that maybe both of these guys become somewhat useful. Maybe not at the same week, but
I'm thinking that
I would ask for a lot.
What I think happens here is you look at the Patriots, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like that's going to end up being kind of what we see as split-wise, and I think Brian Robinson's the Damian Harris right now. In terms of, fine. If the year was starting and then edge Damian Harris in that offense, edge Brian Robinson in that offense. The only thing is, Brian Robinson doesn't have the scoring upside on the Commanders that Damian Harris does on the Patriots. Damian Harris, 13 touchdowns last year. I don't see any way where Brian Robinson gets that amount of red zone work and scoring position work to get anywhere near that amount of touchdowns. In which case, he's getting 800 yards a season and 4 touchdowns, and he's an RB3. But right now he's being valued like an RB2, and I think you should take advantage of that if you can get a wide receiver 2, which I think you can.
If you can get a wide receiver 2, then sure, do it. But in Xavier's specific scenario, he is his RB3. And, if anything happened to those top 2 guys, Robinson becomes that much more valuable. So I would caution, in Xavier, your specific situation.
And he's got Damian Harris.
Who is hurt, right? Who is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So don't settle for your, if you get a wide receiver 2, fine. Anything less.
Maybe what I would consider doing is seeing if you can upgrade. Maybe not going for a wide receiver 2, but going Brian Robinson and Damian Harris for a true, borderline RB1 option type.
Sure, see if you can get Aaron Jones.
Something like that. That's what I would do, considering, yes, it will leave your running back core a little bit weak if you trade Brian Robinson, but if you upgrade your running back core and maybe get a running back like Aaron Jones that you can use in your flex position moving forward, I think that might even do better, be better for your team than a wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what you do. But hope that helps, man. Damon Luce in one league offered Amon-Ra and Everett for Kelsey, and Waddle and Hurst for Kelsey in another league. They haven't accepted yet. Thoughts?
Yeah, I wouldn't accept that either. Those are low ball offers, Damon, and that's fine that you're trying, but Amon-Ra is on bye and coming off a couple quiet games. Waddle is, has had a couple of quiet games here and is, those deals are nowhere close to getting it done.
Yeah, Hurst for Kelsey is, I don't want to say laughable, borderline laughable, but it is.
Waddle,
it's like
Waddle and Hurst. Waddle and Hurst. Oh,
I'm sorry. I was reading that wrong. I thought it was Amon-Ra and Everett for Kelsey and Waddle, and then Hurst for Kelsey. My bad.
Waddle and Hurst.
Got you.
That being said, these are still low-ish offers. I have Kelsey. I can tell you right now, I'd reject those pretty fast. You're going to have to come with it with a little bit more if you want one of the biggest difference makers in fantasy football.
But you never know what couldn't get, you never know what deal can't get done. So throwing out an offer,
sure. Shoot your
shot. Worst thing that happens is they decline it, but there's always a chance that they accept it, or at least you get a message back saying, let's hammer something out with respect to this deal, and then you come to terms on something agreeable to both of you guys. So there's nothing wrong with throwing out an offer.
Sure, but you're gonna have to up it.
Probably, most likely.
Those two. Derek 2, Gabe Davis over Olave.
Yes,
with ease.
Handily. Yep.
Yeah, with ease.
Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis in this game. I'm trying to play him everywhere I can.
Yep.
CMC to KC.
We'll see.
I hope not. Richie Rich, good to see you.
What's up, Richie?
Do I trade Najee and Pitts for their JT and Kirk? Who's your tight end?
His pit.
And that's yeah, no, but who's your backup? Who's
the backup? Who's the backup plan?
Yeah, who's the game plan moving forward?
Yeah.
Like, do you have an Everett? Do you have Fryermuth? Like, who do you have now that you feel comfortable trading Pitts?
Yep.
And Greg Z, you're rolling with ETN. Yeah, that's probably
over Deion Jackson, over Duvernay, over Dubs. Yes.
Yep. But I am sneakily, trying to play Deion. I am.
But not over ETN.
No.
And Xavier, you mentioned trading for somebody like Sanders. I mean, if you could do a 1-for-1, like Robinson for Sanders, then okay.
I would think it would take Robinson and Harris then for Sanders, something like that.
To your point about Waddle and Hurst for Kelsey, just throw the first offer out. Robinson's stock is up. I mean, take your shot.
Yeah.
Take your shot and then work from there. Marty Warmoth, what's going on? Olave or Devontae Smith? I'm going Devontae just again because Olave. Well,
if Olave is playing, I'm going Olave.
If Olave
is
that
playing, 1:00.
Yeah.
But if he's Olave, not, he's the volume there, man. Like
I know.
At some point, the guy's getting at least 10 targets a game, pretty much every game automatically. Which is what Amon-Ra was getting, which is what, at a floor Deontay Johnson is getting. So I'm kind of chasing that, even if he is coming off of concussion, even though you do want to be cautious.
I'm going Devontae Smith, and it's not a question for me because of the concussion.
Fair enough.
Like if Olave is out, I'm playing Devontae Smith. If Olave is active, I'm playing Devontae Smith. And it's, again, if Olave gets out of that game last week unscathed, no issues, no concerns, like whatever, Olave, but he came down with a concussion. I don't want to mess around with that. It feels like a bad move, and also right now, keep in mind,
I don't think he gets cleared. That's the thing.
Yeah, the NFL's under a microscope right now with all of the concussion issues. I don't think if Olave gets cleared, the Saints are playing with fire and could probably face some sort of penalty or fine or something if something happens to him again in game after what happened with Tua. I would, even if he's cleared, I wouldn't mess around with it. Devontae Smith.
And most likely you're not gonna be forced to make a decision because I do think, like Nick alluded to, that Olave is gonna be out.
But if you have to, Devontae Smith.
So we're split there. If he does play, but regardless, you know which way to play it now.
Yeah, even if he's active, I think it's silly to play him. I do.
Yeah, Smith has shown enough of a floor to where I don't hate that swerve.
Good. He's been very good. Yeah, I would not play with fire like that, Smith.
Derek 2, Melvin Gordon or James Robinson? Melvin Gordon. He's going to be the RB1. He's operating like the pseudo RB1 moving forward. And James Robinson is getting his work scaled back. I heard a report that James Robinson has been, the Achilles is kind of caught up to him now. He started off out the gate hot because he had fresh legs. But now, a few weeks in, a little bit of a wear and tear. Now he's getting worn down a little bit, apparently. And we're seeing it on the field, and we're seeing the transition moving to ETN as well.
And it's a great matchup for Gordon.
So, yeah, Gordon. Alex Contreras, what's happening? Flex 1, Olave, D. Smith, Ayuk or Lazard.
Smith, I'll double down here. I'll say Devontae Smith. I feel this, Olave, I feel like it should be ruled out and is an incredibly dicey, high risk option if he is cleared with the concussion. Smith is a much safer option and is a better player than Brandon Ayuk and Alan Lazard in a good offense. Smith. And then for Pitts or
I will
Hunter
agree
Henry,
with that, but I am trying out of those options to play Lazard as well.
Sure.
I do like Lazard, and it is close because while I like Devonta Smith, the talent way more than I like any of the other players outside of Olave, and health taking into account if Olave's not playing, obviously. But Lazard, I love the quarterback talent.
Sure.
That's the dividing factor there. So I want to try to find a way to play him.
But I'm not playing him over Smith.
and Pitts or Hunter Henry. If Pitts is playing, I'm starting Pitts.
If he's in and he's expected to play, you have to play him. It's a horrible matchup, but like Hunter Henry's done nothing.
Yeah.
It's Pitts. I know Pitts has done nothing either, but you drafted him in the 3rd round. Play the guy that you had high hopes for. Hope for the best.
And yeah, Xavier, I hope that
see what happens.
That input helped. Brock Goose, what's happening, man? Do I trade Brees for AJ Brown? No. I know you already got Mixon, Saquon, Ramondre, Kenneth Walker, and your wide receivers are lacking. I'm trading
Ramondre?
Because Damian Harris is coming back at some point. I'm trading Ramondre. And if I'm trading Mixon, one of my high-end options, and I consider Brees a high-end option at this point, I'm not trading Saquon. Like the lottery ticket that is Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
and I think I'm floating out. What can I get for Mixon? I really am at that point. I'm not trying to trade Brees. I'm trying to trade Mixon.
Yeah, who has been good. Mixon has been, he's been good. He hasn't been great, but he's been solid. The problem with Mixon is the Bengals seem to be already showing signs of some type of a Super Bowl hangover this year, and his fantasy play, looking way down the line, Mixon's fantasy playoff schedule looks to be about as tough as it gets. I would entertain Mixon for AJ Brown, 1 for 1. I wouldn't, be careful if you ask for AJ plus, which you could try to do. It might not work, but I would do Mixon for AJ Brown straight up.
Yeah, you got to remember, outside of last year, which was clearly a magical year for the Bengals.
Yeah, it was great.
Joe Mixon has been RB10, RB13. Right now he's RB15. And I think that is more in line with where he is, unless everything is going 100% right in his offense in that magical year for him. He is 26. He is getting up there in age. He is sometimes has shown at times injury-prone tendencies. 2020 to be exact. That's year where he only played 6 games. So you have to watch out for him at this point, because he is at the point in his career where he has racked up a considerable amount of touches. Yeah, and he doesn't have the ceiling that he did last year. So I'd be trying to trade Mixon. I wouldn't be trying to trade Brees, because I think Brees is really coming into his own. But I would and maybe see if somebody's interested in Ramondre right now.
Yeah, I mean, be careful trading too many running backs, but sure.
If you can't get something done with Mixon.
Yeah. Who are your wide receivers? Just out of curiosity, throw them in the chat.
2 flex leagues, so you could start 4 running backs. Okay.
Well,
then those are a good
PPR,
4 running backs to start.
Don't want to totally shy away from wide receivers, though.
Yeah.
In full PPR.
Yeah. I mean, I would see what you could get for Mixon, and I would see what you could get for Ramondre, and then pull the trigger on one, depending on what you consider to be the better deal. Yeah. But I would float both of those guys, but Saquon and Kenneth Walker are holds for me.
Agreed.
Michael Alexander, Alec Pierce versus the Jags, Miles Sanders versus the Cowboys, Romeo Doubs versus the Jets for my flex spot full PPR. Miles Sanders?
I think it has to be Sanders. I know he had a blow up spot week 4. He had a quiet game week 5 and a quiet game week 3. And
he's the RB12 right now.
Week 1 and week 2. I think you got to do that. It's a tough matchup. The Cowboys are actually top 3 in the league against running backs for fantasy purposes. So it's a pretty tough matchup, but they are at home. The Eagles' offensive line has been moving guys. I know Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence pose a different type of threat than most teams can provide. But the Eagles' offense and offensive line at home, I think, is something safe to bet on. Sanders has an opportunity to stay in the game even if the Eagles are trailing. He can catch a couple passes here and there. And I think last week, despite like the low fantasy output, I mean, he saw a season high 74% of the snaps. So he's still very much like out there. and that's a pretty hefty snap count for any running back. So I think I kind of like grit my teeth and play Sanders and hope for the best.
Yeah, I'm not even there, man. I'm not, you know.
He's a little up and down. He's a little up and down.
He might be, yes, because at the end of the day, he still isn't getting usage like a Saquon Barkley and those, you know, the guys in the tier ahead of him. But he's still getting more work on the ground than he's ever gotten in his now 4-year career. He's getting a decent amount of work through the air, 12 targets through 5 games. You know, that should pick up a little bit for him, honestly, because that's kind of not in line with where he's been at, you know, in 2020 and 2019. But he's the RB12 right now in PPR, RB11 in standard. I'm playing him with confidence. I'm not worried about, you know, whether I should start him versus Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs. Miles Sanders is performing like a wide receiver 1, and you know it's between that and a couple of wide receiver 3s. It's Miles Sanders easily.
Yeah.
Richie Rich, Hawkins, Ertz. I'm going Ertz, dude.
Well, Hawkinson's on bye. Or those are the tight ends that he has.
Gotcha. Okay, then fine.
Could also trade Najee, Pitts, Sutton, and...
Is this a dynasty league?
I don't think so.
Well, you got Pitts, Ertz, and Hawk.
That's a lot of tight ends for redraft.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. It's the only reason I'm asking. Okay. Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Crumply Heads. Olave healthy, Dion over Gainwell, right? Olave, we'll see. We'll know before 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Dion over Gainwell for sure.
Yes.
And honestly, at this point, I would go Dion over Olave. Again, I'm going to, short of like Philip Lindsay, I'm going to suggest anybody over Olave. I am operating like he's going to be ruled out tomorrow. And even if he's ruled active, that's incredibly dicey, you know, playing less than a week removed from a concussion. Yeah. I don't feel good about Olave right now. I would love to be wrong. Like, I would love to be wrong. I hope if he's active, I hope he comes through the game unscathed and finishes with 10 catches. But like, I don't know if I would play that game. Actually, scratch that. I do know I'm not playing that game.
I'm playing Dion just because we're not sure of the health and concussions are. I have to admit, concussions, you know, you never know. So you do want to err on the edge, especially right now with the way the NFL has to be protecting itself with respect to concussions. You probably just got to err on the side of caution and play a guy like Deion Jackson.
Yes.
Richie Rich or trade Najee, Pitts, Sutton for their JT or Mike Evans.
We got that. You were asking if this is a dynasty league or not.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're down to Sheldon. What's up, Sheldon?
Sheldon, what's happening? Should I go with Kenneth Walker, Dubs, or Devontae Smith in my flex? RB1 and RB2 is Saquon and Ramondre. Wide receiver 1 and 2 is Mike Williams and Michael Pittman. Is that a current lineup? Okay. Full PPR.
I would go with Walker. Starting RB, like RB1. Maybe not an RB, but he's got RB1 upside as the dude. I would go Walker.
And after this week, if Pittman doesn't fire, I'm okay putting Devontae Smith in there moving forward.
Yeah.
But I think I'm taking one more week. I'm just seeing if it happens for Pittman this season. Because I don't think it's a question of Pittman's talent. It's the quarterback.
Well, I think the biggest issue is the Colts offensive line is wildly overrated.
Not what we thought it was. And we saw that good last year. Remember, we talked about Carson Wentz having the 32nd or 31st worst pass blocking in the league last season.
Their offensive line is holding back the ability of that offense.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not what it was advertised to be.
Devontae Smith, his past couple of games, had quiet game week 4. That was a rain-soaked
11
game
targets last week.
in Philly. 11 targets, caught 10 of them for 87 yards. week 3, 8 for 169 and a touch. Week 2, 7 for
10
80.
for 87 isn't even really a box score that's like him. If he's getting 10 targets, I'm expecting him to get over 120 yards just because of where he operates on the field and how electric he is with the ball in his hands.
I'm going to call my shot, Sheldon. If you feel like you need some upside, I would play Devontae Smith over Pittman this week. If you think you can play it safe and you're like, well, let's not mess, like, I don't want to mess around too much. I don't want to set your lineup for you. If you feel like I can get by with what I've got, maybe the matchup is like, even, or you feel a little bit better about your chances, then fine, roll with Pittman. I will say, if you feel like you could use an upside play, I'm pivoting to Devontae Smith this week over Pittman. I know both guys are at home, and it's actually a better matchup by the numbers for Devontae Smith. If you feel like you need some upside, I wouldn't be afraid to play Smith. Again, I agree, John. It's not a knock on Pittman. He's in the significantly worse situation right now.
Yeah.
Significantly is a little extreme, but it's a worse situation right now.
I mean, you want to chase the talent here, and I still do think the wide receiver 1 talent here is Pittman. Devonta Smith isn't close behind at this point. No. And because of the situation that he's in being that much better, maybe you just go upside and go with Devonta Smith. But I am, for my Michael Pittman shares, I'm giving him one more week in the offense before I panic and swerve.
That's fair, because he's not the problem right now.
Right.
So that's fair. It's but Smith is on a bit more of a heater recently.
Yeah. And Xavier Dubs, your wide receivers are Pittman, Hollywood, D-Hop, A-Rob, Duvernay. Yeah, you need some help there. I mean, you're getting D-Hop back, which helps, but then that minimizes Hollywood moving forward. So you do need some wide receiver help. You do.
You
trading Brian Robinson and Gibson and D-Hop for Cooper and Sanders? Considering you have Hollywood, I don't hate that.
You have. So, do you just keep? I know Washington's not good, but can you get something better than Sanders since you're giving the whole backfield, which is like has collective even more value than one or the other?
Because you're getting the direct handcuff. You're basically guaranteed an RB1 for the rest of the season.
And you're offering the allure of DeAndre Hopkins. Like, can you get Aaron Jones and a wide receiver too? Like, that's what I would shoot for. Cooper and Sanders isn't bad. Maybe it's a little better than meh. But with the upside that Brian Robinson has right now, plus the package of his insurance policy in Gibson, and the allure of D-Hop's wide receiver 1 track record, I think you can do a little better.
Yeah, you probably can.
I think you can. I think you should shoot for Aaron Jones and maybe even a slight downgrade from Amari Cooper as far as a depth wide receiver to get in return.
Well, I would look at wide receivers that are performing, wide receiver 1s that are performing like wide receiver 2s right now. And Deebo Samuel falls into that group. He was drafted as a wide receiver 1, performing like a wide receiver 2. Mike Evans right now, if you look at just the yearly totals, he's down at wide receiver, I think 24. You can try to get down Mike Evans just by nature of the fact that he didn't play a game and all that mess. Game. So see if you can capitalize on somebody not being injury. A little bit down on that, even though he's back and should be heavily targeted moving forward.
Yep.
Those are the type of wide receivers that I'm going after. Amari Cooper fits the bill too, because by week 12, he's a low end wide receiver 1 right now.
Sure.
But he'll be a high end wide receiver 1 at that point with the quarterback that upgrade that he's getting.
And I know Sanders is off to a very strong start to the season. I think as far as the running back goes, I want something a little more established, given the
something with a little bit
that package brings.
Something a little bit with a little bit more of a floor.
Yeah, and my first thought is Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Sanders does have some viability week to week, even though he has been performing really well.
Yeah. Speaking of Mike Evans, Crumply Heads, Mixon for Mike Evans straight up. I mean,
I would maybe see if you can get a little bit more than Mike Evans, but you're probably not going to be able to. I would be willing to do that straight up.
like a depth running back, like a last RB on his bench type of guy.
Yeah.
Try, but sure. Yeah. As long as you're not razor thin at running back, yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, like a Jalen Warren, or one of these depth running backs, just to pick one up, because you never know when a guy like Darrell Henderson, who's performing like the RB2, is just going to get elevated to RB1. You never know.
Yeah.
So just see if you can get a throw in like that, but I would be willing to do that one-on-one. Alex Contreras, flex 1, London, Lockett, Dobbins, Cooper. Why? I don't want to not play Lockett. I don't want to not play Dobbins.
This is
but I guess
Cooper.
It's Cooper right now. Yeah.
I mean, 3 of his past 4 games, week 5 was a dud, week 4 was a dud on the road. So they're home. So not as worried, but 10 targets week 2, 11 targets week 3, 12 targets week 4. He turned those into 9, 101 and 1, 7, 101 and 1, 7, 76 and 1, all 3 at home. So he has scored in every game at home. He's playing at home. Cooper. That's a lot of really good options, but Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Dobbins a lot, but I don't know about that. I do like playing Dobbins a lot, though.
Yeah, I would go.
But the
Cooper.
Giants are closer to a tougher running back defense than not.
Yeah.
They're currently ranked 22nd in fantasy points allowed, with 18.7 to an entire backfield weekly. So maybe this isn't the week to chase Dobbins.
Yeah.
Cooper. George Cook. Do I start Dubs or McKenzie in the flex this week, half PPR? Dubs.
Is McKenzie healthy?
I don't think so, and just because of that, Dubs. But even if he is healthy, Khalil Shakir showed enough to me, because Khalil Shakir looks to be a guy that can be utilized downfield and in the short to intermediate pass game. So I think Shakir is going to start to eat into McKenzie's role a little bit and be that Jamison Crowder moving forward, which minimizes McKenzie's ceiling, and Dubs just has a better ceiling than him right now.
So McKenzie did clear concussion protocol on Wednesday, but again, there is speculation that his role is, could potentially be cannibalized a little bit by Shakir. Down week for Dubs last week in London, but he had seen 8 targets the previous 2 weeks. So, and it's not a scary matchup against the Jets at home.
And the
Packers need to bounce back, right? They lost the London game that they were expected to win.
Right.
Bounce back game for them. Yeah, I'm good with Dubs.
Yeah, and the team was doing things like
McKenzie
trying to make a
back
point
there
to get Mercedes Lewis a touchdown and stuff in London, because apparently he has a streak of getting touchdowns in London. Who knew? But apparently that was part of the game plan there. So Romeo Doubs suffered a little bit in terms of that perspective there. So hopefully he comes back and gets a chance at another touchdown this week for Dubs. So yeah, Dubs.
McKenzie will be playing in what we expect to be a shootout, but I think Dubs has a little bit more of a full-time role secured. And yeah, so I'll go Dubs.
And for what it's worth, James Cook scored his first touchdown last week, so maybe James Cook gets a little bit more work, and which eats into McKenzie's role a little bit and how he's utilized. So speculation there too. We'll see. But Dubs for me.
Fabian, I agree. I can also see a world where Devontae torches him for a one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sheldon, thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We're always happy to talk shop with anybody who wants to come in. You already know.
Brett McCoy, non-PPR flex, James Robinson, Dobbins, or DJ Moore. At this point, I'm playing Dobbins, even though I'm not expecting a ceiling game from Dobbins. It could always be a ceiling game from Dobbins, just because the offense in which he performs in is so high-powered on any given Sunday, and Dobbins is so efficient. But I'm not over him. Over those other options, it's pretty easy for me, even though I'm not expecting a ceiling game from Dobbins.
Not expecting a ceiling game from Dobbins, but I do think he's the play. Robinson has not really generated yardage with his totals for a few weeks now.
He was kind of just living off of one big play a game for the first 3 weeks, and he was, if you really look at it,
credit.
He did. He got long touchdowns, 50-yard runs, stuff like that.
17 for 100 is pretty good, but that's against the Chargers, who are the worst run defense in the league right now.
Yeah. So maybe we were already a little bit wrong on going all in on James Robinson after week 1 and week 2.
Well, he's still involved, but I think he's trending to be the change of pace player in this.
And out of these players,
Dobbins.
especially considering it's non-PPR, DJ Moore doesn't factor in anymore. Non-PPR, DJ Moore is like my last bench player unless I have guys like
I'm not dropping him, but
Allen Robinson and stuff. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Sucks
Dobbins.
for DJ Moore shares. Everybody was expecting Baker Mayfield to come in and improve that offense, and he's done the exact opposite.
He did the opposite. Thanks, Baker.
Randy Miller, you traded CEH and McLaurin for Kenneth Walker and Drake London. Good job. You sold high on CEH, which I think if you're going to sell high on a running back right now, CEH is one of those guys. And McLaurin, take what you can get. And I like moving from McLaurin to London right now, and getting Kenneth Walker and as a swap for CEH in this deal. Yeah, I think you won.
London and McLaurin feel like they're kind of a wash, but I think I'd rather have Walker just because of his new opportunity as the dude in an offense that is currently tops in the league in run blocking. So, yeah, I think you're good.
You improved your squad, I think.
Think you're good.
Looking at your wide receivers and your running backs, I think you improved your squad.
I think, you're good.
And pick 3, Deontay, Thielen, Drake London, Thielen, pick 3.
Well, those are the 3.
Yeah.
Those are the 3.
Yeah.
If you meant to include Higgins in there, I guess keep an eye on his status for the game.
He is questionable.
And very dicey after re-aggravating the injury last week and ending up putting up a goose egg. So
if he's playing for me, it would be Deontay,
if he's
Higgins,
active,
London.
You gotta play Higgins. Yeah. You gotta play Higgins.
Yeah, I'd be benching Thielen, but if Deontay, Thielen, London it's a solid trio too.
It's fine.
In a bye week. Yeah.
Plus, you just traded for London. You might as well play him.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a good match. I would just caution this is going to be one of his worst matchups of the year.
But they could put in Desmond Ridder at any point in time, and we saw what moving from Mitchell Trubisky to Kenny Pickett did for that Pittsburgh offense, and did specifically for the rookie wide receiver in George Pickens. So we could see a similar situation happen in Atlanta with Mariota and Ridder, and see it affect London in a similar way.
Yeah.
Yep. The Xavier, the guy in your league, took AJ at the end of the first, so you're gonna have to throw all the thirds at him this year in a fly.
All right, well, don't go nuts. Yeah. Don't go nuts. I know. I mean, if you want a guy, I understand, but don't sell the farm.
If you can't get it done for AJ,
try someone else.
Maybe see if you can go all in on Devonta Smith.
Sure. Try someone else.
Yeah.
If a guy values a dude significantly higher than the consensus, then there's probably a good chance you're going to want contingency plans, because that guy's not going to be worth the asking price for you.
And just get maybe just swerving and getting the other guy in an offense that you clearly believe in, who is trustworthy in his own right. 11 targets last week. That's in wide receiver 1 workload. And they seem to be swapping those games. It's not AJ Brown boom weeks every week. I mean, sometimes it is a Devonta Smith week. So maybe that is the way to swerve. Fabian Verka, what's going on?
Especially because he'll be cheaper. Yeah.
Oh, you've already been in here. We already said what's up to you. My bad. But what's up again?
What's up?
Full PPR. You have Mixon, ETN, Dubs, London, Moore, and Boyd starting. Have McKenzie and Dion on the bench. Would you swap anyone around?
I would take
Dion for Boyd. And which Moore is that?
Oh, I was gonna say Dion for Moore.
Which Moore? That's what I want to know.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I think because Elijah's not playing well either.
If Higgins isn't playing, then any Moore you can swap out for Deion Jackson.
Sure.
If Higgins is playing, I think then depending on the Moore, I want the Moore and sit Boyd then for Deion Jackson.
Yeah. Are they both playing 1 o'clock games tomorrow? They might not.
Which Moore is it, though? Let us know.
Let me see. Yeah, this is actually important. Elijah Moore plays in the 1 o'clock slate. DJ Moore plays in the 4:05 slate. What does Boyd play in? And I know Deion Jackson. Yeah, Deion Jackson, Tyler Boyd, and Elijah Moore all play in the 1 o'clock slate. DJ Moore plays in the 1:05 slate. So this is important, actually, to try to figure
so let
this
us
out.
know, man.
Yeah.
We'll circle back. Randy Miller, Irv Smith, or Knox. Honestly, is there another tight end you can swerve to? If there was going to be a week for Knox, it would be this week.
It would be this week because it's a projected shootout.
If you think about it, the Chiefs are going to do everything they can to not have Gabe Davis have a repeat game. They don't want that to happen again. Do they have the personnel to stop him? If him and Josh Allen really just have that connection again this week? No. But then again, Stephon Diggs on the other side there. So to that point, maybe Knox gets a little bit more work just because maybe there's less offensive focus on him. These are the games that you paid to have him on your team. They gave him an extension this year.
Yeah.
And they paid him for these games, step up in these games. So I think it's Knox.
Yeah, I guess I would go Knox.
But if you can swerve, like maybe see if you could swerve.
Would you swerve to Taysom?
Yeah, I would swerve to Taysom. I would consider swerving to Tunyon just because I have been such a big fan of Tunyon. But at this point, they're both tight end or bust option or touchdown or bust options. So at that point, I would just this week go Knox anyway. But yeah, if you have a shot at Taysom Hill, I think I'd go Taysom Hill over Knox.
And real quick, Fabian said DJ Moore. So that's the Moore that's in there. So fine. Take Boyd out if Higgins is in. Take DJ Moore out if Higgins is out.
Yes.
So get Deion in there either way. It just is a matter of do you play DJ Moore or Tyler Boyd, depending on T. Higgins. But yes, get Deion Jackson in there.
And Xavier Dobbs, Tunyon, Ingram, Taysom Hill at tight end.
Hill.
You like Hill's upside, but you're taking a risk. All of them are risks. Yeah, again, if you don't have a top 8 option at tight end,
just play Taysom.
Because
he'll get quarterback snaps. He'll run the ball. The tight end designation is kind of a farce for him. So to that point, if you don't have a clear-cut option, just play Taysom Hill.
At this point, this week, with considering the people that are on bye, considering the injuries,
Michael Thomas.
If you don't have a top 6 option, start Taysom.
Hill. Yeah.
Top 8, I think, is a little bit too generous. If you don't have a top 6 option, play Hill.
Yeah.
Kylie Loco, Knox or Tunyon this week. They're both touchdown or bust options, like I just said.
I'll roll the dice. I guess I'll roll the dice on Knox because you drafted him.
But this might be the last week.
Higher.
Like I didn't think I'd get there 6 weeks into the year. But yeah, if it doesn't happen for Knox this week, like in redraft, I'm dropping him.
Kansas City. Yeah, that's fine. On the road in Kansas City.
For like a Will Dissly at this point. And honestly, I might be playing Will Dissly over both of these guys right now for this week. If I can get a Will Dissly.
I'm just looking up what the over or what the line is for this game. What is the over under for this game? 54. The total for this game is, as far as Vegas, is 54 points. Yeah, points are expected to be scored in this game. I'll just take a shot on Knox, and if he can't do it this week, then he's not doing it.
Yeah. Dallas or Jacksonville DST?
Jacksonville. I mean, the matchup.
Indianapolis, you don't want to play. Dallas has been great, but you don't want to play him against the Eagles. Jacksonville, Indianapolis has been terrible. We just talked about their O-line.
Jacksonville. They're both on the road. I get it. Both division games. I get it. But yeah, the Colts offensive line stinks, and the offensive line the offense in general is not playing well. Whereas the Eagles are struggling to score the ball in the second half of games, but there's no argument here who they're better than Indianapolis right now by a long shot. I would play Jacksonville.
Yep, me too. Chris D, half PPR. James Robinson, Tyler Boyd, or Pickens this week? Pickens. And would y'all trade JT and who for? Got offered Henry for him. Also, would y'all do Hurts, AJ Brown, Madison for Lamar, and Devontae Adams? You have Andrews, and he has Dalvin.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would trade for Derrick Henry, I think.
I would say, I would just ask him, hey, can you throw in a little extra? just because again,
Taylor,
people might be living a little bit in week 1 rankings and saying, oh yeah, people drafted him 101, even though by week 6 you should kind of throw that out the window and just go off of what have you done in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Some owner might be living in oh, look how good my roster would look if I traded for JT.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get Henry plus for JT, I would do it.
And if
the
he
concerns
says
about
no,
Henry
I think
were
they'll do it straight up. JT vibes are officially shaky.
Yeah. And how many touches did he have year 1? Because we were worried about or year 2. We were worried about Najee after year 1, based off of his workload. What was Jonathan Taylor's workload, and should we have been concerned about his workload coming off of last year?
I don't think he hit 400 touches. I think it was in the. I'll double check, but I think it was in
I'm looking right now.
Range. I think it was in the
322 on the ground and 51 through the air, so close in 17 games.
It was around 375-ish, so yeah, it was creeping up.
And then had one game in the postseason, 21 attempts. So no, actually on the season he could have gotten over.
Oh, he did, yeah.
On the season he went over 400 touches, and we weren't talking about it.
Colts didn't make the postseason last year.
Oh, what am I looking at then?
Maybe 2 years ago.
2021.
Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs last year. Regardless, 375.
Oh yeah, that was in 2020. My bad.
Yeah, that was a pretty high number. Not quite the threshold that you look at and say, uh-oh, but yeah, pretty damn close.
Well, actually, when I was looking up that article that you did, where you referenced some other stats, yeah, it was 400 was the number, but the thing that you are referencing actually referenced 380.
So either way, he was close to the
for whatever
threshold.
That's worth.
He was close to it, and now the vibes are officially shaky. Plus, this offense looks bad. Yeah, I would trade for Henry straight up if you can't, even if you can't get a little extra. Ask for a little extra first, but then settle for the 1-for-1. I would.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And then
Hurts,
with the other trade, no, I wouldn't. You have a stack in Hurts, AJ Brown. I love Lamar, but Hurts is performing like Lamar is. Hurts and Lamar are on the same tier.
He would create a stack with Lamar and Mark Andrews, but you're giving up a stack.
Got you.
And picking up Adams.
I think
I think I would do this.
What do you?
Yeah, I think I would do this. Adams is a safer bet than AJ Brown on a week-to-week basis. Hurts is playing at his ceiling. Lamar is playing as you expect. Therefore, I guess as an Eagles fan, I'll give the edge to Lamar. You still have a stack with Lamar and Andrews. You're giving up a depth running back. Could you ask for your own depth running back in the deal, Chris? Could you ask for your throw him, have him, since it's a 3-for-2, make it a clean 3-for-3. Unless there's a running back on the wire that you really want to pick up. But does he have a last guy on his bench running back that you could ask for? And if that's the case and he's willing to do it and it's not like some random scrub, then I think I would do it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and the difference I thought the difference between AJ Brown and Davante Adams was a little bit closer, but Davante Adams is putting up 5 fantasy points more per week than AJ Brown is right now.
And the Raiders don't have anybody close to Devontae Smith's level. Yeah.
And I mean, we haven't seen, and that's the only thing is maybe Waller comes back at some point and takes some touches away, but at this point I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, I guess I'd be willing to do it. I was hesitant at first because, I think Dalvin can go down at any moment's notice, in which case it's Madison season, and then you still have this Hurts AJ Brown stack, which is very valuable.
Right. Okay, how about this? If you can get the depth RB in return, do it. If not, then maybe hold out a little bit longer. How about that?
I think this is more of an even trade, but you could fall on either side.
Yeah, it's even. It's fair. There's
This
no
is
I think
no
both
clear
teams
winner.
have a chance to both teams have a chance to get better with this.
Yep.
Which is always good. That's
that's what you look
fair.
for, really.
That's how you want to play the game. Yeah, that's how you want to play the game.
What's going on, Iron? Good to see you.
Up, Iron.
Randy meant to say pick 2. Got you. Then Johnson for sure, and then London, I think. Or what has Thielen been doing?
He had a couple of floor games. Or no, he had 2 good weeks, weeks 3 and 4. Week 3 on 8 targets, 6 for 61 and a touch. Week 4 on 9 targets, 8 for 72. He was only able to turn 7 targets last week into 4 for 27, but he has 24 targets in his last 3 games, and this is a very good matchup. Thielen, because Drake London's got as tough of a matchup as it gets this week against San Francisco. And in his past couple of games has actually been quieter. 4 for 35 last week, 2 for 17 the week before. He did get a touchdown on 3 for 54 week 3. But this is a pretty tough matchup against San Francisco. I'll say Thielen. The Dolphins are a much softer matchup than the 49ers are. I'll say Johnson and Thielen.
I'm gonna give that, depending on what you need. If you need the ceiling play, I'm going London. If you want to play it a little bit safer and just go for the floor points, I think it's okay to go Thielen. But I think if you're going a ceiling play here, if you're the underdog and need a ton of points, I think London presents more of that upside. So I think in that situation, I'm going London, even though he hasn't had boom weeks in the past few weeks. Still getting this 7 targets a week at the low end, and gets Pitts back this week, so maybe they need the defense will spread coverage around a little bit and make it a little bit easier for him to succeed on a play-to-play basis. So depending on what you need, man.
Yeah, if London plays well this week, then I'll say put him in your lineup each week until further notice. But I'm going to, I'll take the vet in a good matchup over the rook in a tough matchup in this one.
Fair. And yeah, Alabama, Tennessee.
I hadn't had that game on.
Me neither.
I was watching baseball for the first time during the college football season because the Phillies just advanced it to the championship series. So let's go.
There you go.
But yeah.
George Cook, 12 team, half PPR. I own Burrow and Higgins, and I'm stacked at running back with Barkley, Swift, Pierce, Kenneth Walker, and Sanders. Chase owner turned down Higgins and Sanders for Chase. Do I offer more? No, because I think Higgins and Chase are closer than you might think. I'm not just going balls to the wall with a trade offer just to get the better name. Because Higgins, I think, is actually pretty close to Chase.
Yeah, despite last week, Higgins is going blow for blow with Chase this year as far as fantasy points scored and targets and all that stuff.
And was for large swaths the last year or two.
Yeah. So no, and then to add Sanders to that deal and the fact that I would have taken that if I was the person who had Chase. So do not offer more. Do not offer.
And maybe see if you can trade Sanders straight up for a wide receiver too. Maybe don't go for the wide receiver 1, but getting a Mike Evans who's performing like a wide receiver 2 right now. For Sanders, see if you can get that done. If the person likes Pierce more, then you got Barkley, Swift when he gets healthy, Kenneth Walker and Sanders. I'd be fine with that. For Evans, straight up. So try to do something like that, but I wouldn't try to chase.
Yeah.
Save your dubs. You have Hurts. The Smith owner has Kyler. I could trade D-Hop for Smith. I think my friend would take D-Hop for A.J. Brown. Man, y'all got me thinking. You could trade D-Hop for
Brown,
Smith.
Then I think I would do A.J. Brown.
I'm always trying to get the better player. I like Smith a lot. D-Hop for Smith. I think I like Devonta Smith a lot. I think they end up being pretty close, and if I'm looking at one who has the higher upside, it's Hopkins, so I think I want Hopkins. So if you can if you're thinking of going Hopkins for Smith, I would try to get Hopkins for Smith plus, if you can. But I am trying to do Hopkins for A.J. Brown if I can. And if I need to add something onto that, then I'd consider that too. But honestly, if you can do straight up, then do straight up. And Fabian, yeah, I can't recommend DJ Moore anymore.
No.
Especially with PJ Walker at quarterback now. The only, light at the end of the tunnel here is really, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Sam Darnold coming back. Because Sam Darnold, through the first 5 weeks of last season, had DJ Moore performing like a top 5 wide receiver. I don't know if you guys remember that. Through 4 weeks, DJ Moore was the wide receiver 4. And then the offense just sputtered and died because CMC left. And then they sat Darnold, and I think they brought in Cam Newton last year, didn't they? But regardless, yeah, I just can't trust DJ Moore right now with PJ Walker. And even when Sam Darnold comes in, he's a wait and see.
I'm not going to trust him then.
I'm not cutting him because, again, I know what he's done for a 3.5 season stretch.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'm starting him unless I absolutely have no other option in a bye week.
Yeah.
Iron Man, I can't start Judy over Najee. Can I? I guess. Najee removes the steel plate from his shoe. Now he should be on fire.
No, you can't start Judy over Najee.
Yeah, you're starting Najee, but you just can't expect much.
You could start Darrell Henderson over Najee, but I can't start Judy over Najee right now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
And yeah, Randy, I mean, teams might opt to play it safe. They have a good number 2 option in Boyd, so maybe they play it safe against aren't they playing the Saints?
They're playing the Saints,
who are ailing themselves,
team.
Right? So maybe they think they can get it done against a team who has the same record as them, who doesn't have their number 1 quarterback and all that. No number 1 wide receiver, maybe no number 2 or number 3 wide receiver.
Play it safe with it.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe
if you lose the game, you want T. Higgins for the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe keep him, in case of emergency type situation where if they are, close and at the end of the 4th quarter and they need him for a few plays, something like that. But
I wouldn't even do that. Just make him inactive.
Fabian for Boyd, I think Higgins and Hurst will be limited decoys if they do play. Yeah, I get that. And I'm kind of more inclined to go Boyd as as we're sitting here talking.
Yeah.
But if Higgins is playing, then
sit DJ Moore, or if we can't start DJ Moore, then just go ahead and take DJ Moore out now.
Yeah.
And put Dion in. Fine.
Do it. CXK, good to see you. Dynasty 12 team, Superflex, PPR.
Start 10.
Give Najee, get CMC. Oh, the CMC side by far.
I mean, just take McCaffrey.
And PPR, boom, yeah.
Just take McCaffrey.
Yeah, they're not even that far away in age when you think about when they were drafted. I know Najee is a second-year player, but they're not even that far away in age. Najee is 24. CMC, I believe, is 26.
I think he's 26, yeah.
And I think it's the early 26. So, yeah. Cali Loco, Deion Jackson or Dylan. At that point, there is a tier break for me. I'm going Dylan because I think the Packers make an emphasis on using Dylan more this week.
Yeah, I got to go Dylan here.
Because they haven't used him in the past weeks like they should have. They're going more to Aaron Jones. I think they go back A.J. Dillon's way a little bit this week, and there's just a talent break there because I think Dylan is one of the more talented backs in the league. Damon Luce, thoughts on Keontae Ingram for the Cardinals? Is he a stash? What do you think?
Could be. I mean, he's probably going to he might get an opportunity or two tomorrow. Did they sign a veteran?
They signed Corey Clement, and they signed Tyson Williams. So honestly, I'm not super high on Keontae Ingram because of how this coaching staff utilizes and operates with rookie and even second year and even third year running backs. Look at what they have the kid gloves they've used with Eno Benjamin throughout his career. We were waiting on this guy for 2 years to finally pop out in his third season. Keontae was kind of a raw rookie coming in. I think they went out and got some veterans for a reason. I think Corey Clement starts over him. I think the reason they brought in Darrell Williams is because they value veterans over raw rookies for some reason. I don't think we see a lot of Keontae Ingram this week.
Yeah.
Am I advocating
Keontae Ingram like next year?
Yeah, and you might even see him 2 years from now. Sure. Maybe it's next year, but honestly, I think that coaching staff is out of here. if the organization is smart, and then you're dealing with a new regime who didn't draft him, right? So then does he get into Keyshawn Vaughn territory?
Could be.
That might be where we end up with Keontae Ingram. But no, he's not a stash. As far as the stash, I think it's Corey Clement. If you're trying to stash anybody, now they haven't elevated him to the regular, to the active roster yet, but I think it's only a matter of time.
And as far as a QB bye week for Burrow, you're about 4 weeks too early, Damon. Let's worry about the bye week quarterback when you have to make a decision. Don't make a decision now when you already know you're starting Burrow for the next 3 weeks. Next 4 weeks. Burrow's bye week is week 10. We're only at week 6. If somebody else picks up Dak, so be it. Worry about the quarterback bye week on the bye week.
Yeah.
All right, so it's a barn burner between Alabama and Tennessee. I guess I should throw that on in the background, but
maybe. All right, who should you drop? You got DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin.
No. I already answered that.
Oh,
that was
got you.
No, yeah, I already answered that. Let's move on to R. Gordon.
R. Gordon, pick a QB, week 6, T-Law, Danny Dimes, Jimmy G, or Zach Wilson. Milson.
You mean Milson?
I like that. That's funny.
I think you answered your own question.
That's funny.
With the nickname. I think you answered your own question with the nickname. Who are the Jets playing this week?
The Packers.
On the road. That's
right.
Pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wilson. Yeah. Wilson. Lawrence is against the Colts.
I think
he had a couple good games to start the year.
I think I'm going Lawrence.
You could go Lawrence. He's down Marvin Jones, whatever. It's not a great matchup by the numbers. He had a decent game against the Colts week 2. 235 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Decent, not good, decent. Hasn't thrown for 300 yards yet this year, but he has a 3-touchdown game week 3 against the Chargers. This is Lawrence. I'm going Wilson. He's got the better weapons in Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson, and I guess Elijah Moore. And that's
my problem with him is
all day.
Yeah, but my problem with him is he's not a quarterback that airs it out, and I think Trevor Lawrence is a little bit more apt to do so. I mean, 21 attempts last week against Miami, 36 against Pittsburgh the week before. So, I mean, he did up the attempts that week, but still 251 yards. He's only scoring one touchdown in back-to-back games to come out of the injury that he had early in the year. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. That ratio wasn't great. He got his box score amplified last week because he scored a rushing touchdown. If he didn't get that rushing touchdown, he would have had a sub 10-point week, and it would have looked real bad for Zach Wilson. This matchup is tough. I'd rather go against a guy who the last time he played the team that he's playing against scored 2 touchdowns than a guy who hasn't scored 2 touchdowns yet this season, considering they're both throwing for about the same amount of yardage every game.
He did score 2. He only threw for 1.
You know what I mean. No, he scored
just
2, but
confirming,
it wasn't in the same game. That's my point.
Yes, it was in the last week. He had 2 total touchdowns. Oh,
Wilson? No.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now, and Sleeper says 1 touchdown against Miami. Zach Wilson.
Oh, he didn't throw for 1. Okay,
right.
My bad.
T-Law has 2 touchdown upside against a team.
Yeah.
He's already showed it this season. I haven't even seen 2 touchdown upside from Zach Wilson yet this entire season, even though it is a small sample size, only 2 games. Still, I've seen more from T-Law. I'm going T-Law.
All right, I'm going. I don't want to play Trevor Lawrence. I'm not feeling it. Fine. Go to Daniel Jones. Baltimore is actually a tremendous matchup for quarterbacks. I feel like we're maybe discounting Danny Dimes here. Yeah, he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to, but he's actually been rock solid.
Yeah, they're giving up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks.
He's got 50 rushing yard upside. His low for rush attempts this season is 6. That's his low. And he's run it 9, 10, and 10 times 3 weeks.
Yeah, if you look at the fantasy points against the Green Bay Packers, they're averaging 10 points less than the Baltimore Ravens this season.
Yeah.
13-23. So I guess by nature of the matchup, go Danny Dimes. But my point is, I'm not confident in Zach Wilson yet. That's why I was swerving to T-Law. Taking into account the opponent, Danny Dimes. Good call there.
Yeah.
But my point is, I'm not playing Zach Wilson yet.
That's fine. I'm not playing Trevor Lawrence yet either.
Fair enough. We can agree on Danny Dimes.
Yeah, holy hell, Dimes.
LeGoat, pick 2
What's up,
PPR,
LeGoat?
Zeke, ETN, Deion Jackson, Pierce.
ETN and
Jackson.
Yep. Yeah. I do not want to play Zeke on the road in Philly.
I don't want to play Zeke at all.
I don't want to play Zeke at all.
Against anybody.
And Pierce, talent level tier break from ETN, and Deion Jackson's opportunity is just huge. No Taylor, no Hines.
Yeah.
Philip Lindsay's going to mix in more than you think. I mean, maybe to that. Yeah, no, Deion Jackson. What's Jacksonville giving up? The Jags are actually kind of stingy through the air, so that's not great for Pierce. And they're a top 10. Yeah, Jackson. Yeah, ETN and Deion Jackson.
Yep. Randy, do you guys pay attention to prop bets when deciding players in fantasy? Sometimes I'll take a look. It's not something I really abide by, but sometimes I'll at least take account of it.
Yeah, I'll take it into account. I got burned on it a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at anytime touchdown scores between 2 receivers, and I picked wrong. I took the guy with better odds according to Vegas. I mean, here's the thing with the player props. At the end of the day, I mean, it's anything, but it's a simulation. I'm gonna pay more attention to. I like breaking things down the way we break things down. We look at the matchup, we look at the past work. The matchup, the usage, the snap count, all of those things I like to take into account. Did they win? The win, are they on a heater?
Efficiency metrics.
On a losing streak? Yeah. Which probably go into the props themselves. But when you look at that actual final number, it's so volatile. And again, it's just a computer simulation. I'm going a little bit more on feel based on other trends and other statistics.
Yeah.
So, admittedly, not really. No.
Yeah.
I see it. I don't really use it.
Val's the GOAT.
It's fun to bet on, but yeah.
True. Val's the GOAT. What's happening, man? What defense should I start? Browns, Pats, Panthers, or Broncos? Who are the Browns playing?
Broncos are playing the Chargers. So
Browns are playing Bailey Zappi and the Patriots. I might go the Browns here, bro.
They're giving up lots of points.
They just have a good... I mean, I'm not going the Panthers.
Not going the Panthers.
And, I mean, the Broncos against the Chargers, I can't play a team going against the Chargers, so I think it's the Browns, dude. I'm not playing the Pats versus the Browns. I'm playing the Browns versus the Pats if I have the choice.
I'm gonna take a look at a couple of things. Let's keep it moving, but I'm not done answering this question. I hear you. The Browns are they make
streaming option. The Vikings streaming option against the Dolphins and Skylar Thompson this week. They're a streaming option.
Is Minnesota out there? They're probably already taken. But.
Yeah, and Jaguars versus the Colts. The Jags are, if they're on the wire for some reason, they are a top tier defense going against a bad offense right now, so they're an option as well. Usually we say anybody against the Bears, but they already played, so we can't recommend that. But out of those 4 options, if you can't pick up a Jags or a Vikings or anything like that, I'd go the Browns. Xavier Dubs, I think I can do Hopkins for AJ because AJ has a bye week next week and D-Hop will be back, and I think it's possible. Go for it, bro. Try it out. Let us know how it works.
Yeah, Vals, go the Browns. They give up lots of points, but at least the New England offense isn't super scary.
Yeah, with Bailey Zappi, no less.
They have given up over 20 points in 4 of their 5 games this year, though, just as an FYI.
Okay.
And I'm assuming you may have like default correct me if I'm wrong, you might have default standard scoring for defenses, which means you lose a little more than you wish you did when you give up like 2 touchdowns. So but I guess Cleveland. Just be aware they can be prone to giving up lots of points.
R. Gordon, if Higgins sits, is Boyd worth starting over Christian Kirk and Waddle? Not Christian Kirk. Waddle, I can't believe we're here.
What did Waddle do last week with Thompson in
Nothing.
The game most of the game?
Nothing. If they had a more competent third backup, maybe I'd consider Waddle just based off of talent alone. But if Higgins isn't starting, I think I'd go Boyd over Waddle for this week. But it's Christian Kirk over Boyd for sure.
Or if you can play 2 of these guys, are you playing Kirk and Boyd?
Kirk and Boyd, yeah.
Yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah.
Waddle's clearly the best player of this group, but he's also clearly in the worst situation.
Yeah.
Of this group. Yeah. And Marvin Jones for Jacksonville. Kirk might get a few extra targets, and then obviously if Higgins is out, Boyd,
Yep.
Is a full-time player. Yeah.
Brett,
I'd rather have a guy catching passes from Joe Burrow than Skylar Thompson.
Brett, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Brett?
Russell Wilson bounce back game week 6. Schedule gets easier for a good while.
I mean,
I believe it when I see it at this point.
Yeah, he's given us no reason to believe it. I mean, I guess he did okay against Vegas.
He needs to start channeling his inner Geno Smith. Words I never thought I'd ever say about anybody. But there you go.
Yeah. To your point about being concerned about Zach Wilson not getting more than 2 touchdowns, I mean, Russ only has one game where he's collectively scored more than 2 scores. And again, it was against a terrible defense for fantasy purposes with Vegas. I mean, he's got
0 rushing upside at this point.
Yeah, 1 touchdown or fewer in 4 of 5 games. Last week, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, yeah, the schedule gets a little easier after the bye week. But
and Chargers and Jets, they got a nice 2-game matchup here before the Jacksonville and Jags and then bye. But like,
let's put it this way: I'm not starting him until after the bye.
If he has a 2-game stretch that's solid, I'm trying to sell it immediately.
Yeah.
And that's only if I'm in a deep league where he's even rostered at this point. Because if I'm in a 12 team, there are better options.
Yep.
And you stashed Wan'Dale Robinson, solid stash.
Hate that. Yeah, I mean, Galladay and Kadarius Toney might officially we might need to put the milk carton out. Like, are they even are they missing? They might be missing. And I don't know if we ever expect to find them. So sure, that's fine.
Yep. Iron never lies. I draft from 8 at this mid-season league. Oh yeah, you were telling us about that.
Yeah, he's doing like a mid-season best ball. I don't even know who would go around there. Do you just take Josh Allen at this point? Like, I saw in Resurrection best balls, his ADP in 1 quarterback is now like 7 or so. So,
I mean, he's proven
to
be
that guy.
Deserving of it. I mean, almost 40-point weeks.
Yeah.
Back to back weeks.
Just take the dude, whatever.
Well, not almost 40-point, but
so he's
almost 35.
Ball, so
yeah,
those high-end quarterbacks are way more valuable in best ball than they are in season-long.
His floor is the majority of quarterbacks' ceiling.
Yeah.
His worst week was a 23-point week.
I would just, if Allen is there at 8, and he might not be, I would just take him.
And mid-season situation, like his bye week's week 7. So you'll have him for the majority of the season moving forward. Like, yeah. Just remember, like, mid-season league, you're going to have to figure out quarterback week 1. Maybe week 1 if you go with Josh Allen. But best ball, so you don't have to worry about it. And Damon, hope that helps. Daggers, good to see you. Good to have you in here. New England or Baltimore defense this week. And you are very welcome. Thanks for chilling with us. Baltimore's going up against the Giants.
Patriots are on the road
against the Browns.
Belichick loves beating up on Cleveland. Keep that in mind. Belichick always has that extra motivation when it comes to his Cleveland weeks. Baltimore's probably got the better matchup.
Cleveland's giving up the 31st least amount of points to opposing defenses.
It's a terrible matchup. Jacoby Brissett has been pretty good protecting the ball, and they just run it with Nick Chubb.
So I'm going with the Ravens, who are they're playing the Giants, who are giving up the 13th most fantasy points to opposing defenses with 13. I'm going with Baltimore. Yeah.
Baltimore Giants is a very very stoppable force versus very movable object. So we'll just see who breaks first.
Yep.
I guess Baltimore.
Fabian, historically, if a team is heavily favored, how does a wide receiver do in fantasy-wise compared to a game versus an average to good team? I mean, if they're heavily favored, the conventional wisdom would have you believe that they're going to be running out the clock more, right?
Yeah, I mean,
which means they're not going to be so much of a focus of the game plan. But it's like team specific at this point.
Yeah, they need to fire in the first half, more likely to fire, because if they have a big lead, if they're playing with a big lead, you're more likely to not be throwing the ball in the second half. We see it happen a lot. Now, on good teams, if you are heavily favored, that probably means you're a good team. So you can rely on good players to deliver on good teams. But yeah, if you're expected to blow the doors off your opponent, your guys are going to have, through the law of averages, fewer opportunities to hit for fantasy purposes.
Now, you also have to factor in what type of player is it. Is it a PPR type guy like a Jarvis Landry? Or is it a guy like Gabe Davis who, on 6 targets, can get you 171 receiving yards?
Yeah.
Can he blow up your fantasy day on one play? Or is he an accumulator? Is he a guy that, you're hoping gets enough targets to where, okay, this guy can have a decent PPR day for me, and you're hoping maybe he scores a touchdown. So that factors into it too, because you're in the situation where you're choosing between a heavily favored wide receiver. You're hoping that he has the game-breaking ability like a Gabe Davis, and he isn't an accumulator who might get phased out of the game, if he's a PPR magnet type. So that factors in too. Signs lies. Is James Cook a good stash? And can you play Khalil Shakir?
No.
I'm going to say no for both of those guys.
No for both.
If Isaiah McKenzie was not playing, then Khalil Shakir is a deep wide receiver 4 play, but without a ton of upside. But again, this week, but that's not the case because it looks like Isaiah McKenzie is playing.
McKenzie's back.
And you can't rely on James Cook right now.
No. He got his work last week again in garbage time.
And it was one touchdown on one catch. Right.
Yeah, and it was a blowout. And the Bills can do this to teams, but that's a really hard thing to bank on week to week. They're not going to blow everybody out.
And this isn't a situation where he is the direct backup to Devin Singletary. Zach Moss is there and would get maybe the majority of the work if Devin Singletary got hurt at this point. So this isn't a one-to-one situation like a Cook to Madison. So no, I'd rather try to find another situation. Like, did somebody drop Chase Edmonds? Because that's a one-to-one. Did somebody, so I'd try to find something like that. Rashad White, is he out there? Jalen Warren, is he out there? I'm trying to find a stash where it's more of a one-to-one correlation between RB1 and RB2.
Yeah.
Higgins not playing for week 6. We don't know yet.
We don't know. We'll see.
Tune into us with us tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. We're going from 10 a.m. up till kickoff, and chill with us then, and we'll talk through it and let you know live as these
Sure.
pieces of news are coming in.
We can give definitive thoughts as the inactives start to roll in. That usually happens around 11:30 in the morning.
And yes, we see your question.
Yeah.
And you're starting Zach Wilson this week. Good luck to you. I hope that Zach Wilson, third weekend, can show that he has his feet back underneath him.
If Daniel Jones is out there, you might want to consider that over Wilson.
Yes. Fabian says you got to wait, bro.
Yeah, well, he's helping him out. I think we can go down to Drew.
Drew, what's going on? Good to have you in here.
What's up, Drew?
2 QB league. Should you trade Henderson for J.K. Dobbins and Danny Dimes? Yeah. Absolutely. Yesterday.
Yeah. Even if
do it
Dimes
right now.
Yeah, if he's your QB3 and you don't need him every week.
Before the other player wises up. If that's an offer that you're waiting on, yes, press accept right now.
Do it. Go ahead, do it. Yeah. Yeah.
In any format, I'm doing that.
Henderson took a significant bump in value yesterday with the fast development going on with Cam Akers, and we're reaching the end of the chat. If there are more questions, we'll obviously prioritize them, but we can talk a little bit about the Akers situation here for a bit in a minute. But all that to say, expect the Rams to bring somebody in.
Yeah. Well, they already brought in Malcolm Brown, I think, didn't they?
He was already the guy that they had as the RB3 going in. But not only is Kyron Williams expected to come back, I don't know when, but soon. It's not a season-long injury for Kyron Williams. Don't know where he's at in his development. All this, regardless, Williams will come back. Malcolm Brown is in the mix, and they'll add somebody.
Yeah.
So, whereas the Ravens, they have their backfield, and Dobbins is at the top of it. Henderson will be at the top of it too, but I trust the Ravens running the ball over the Rams running the ball.
Yes.
And you're getting a quarterback. Yes. Yeah, capital. Look,
in any format, I'm doing that. And if it's 2 QB, I'm doing that. If it's 1 QB, I'm doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Even though in 1 QB, Jones is waiver wire fodder most weeks, unless it's like a 16-team league. That being said,
but again, if you got a guy like
Henderson.
if you're surviving on Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan every week, if you punted quarterback or whatever, if you can get a guy in like Danny Dimes, it's an upgrade. So even in 1 QB, I'm doing that. Do it. Yeah. Press yes.
And it is a 2 QB league, so even all the more reason.
Absolutely. Clear win.
Yeah.
Crumply heads, AJ Dillon or Dion Dillon?
I think we got
I think we got that one. Yep.
Maybe you missed it. Dylan, let's go with the talent level tier break for one more week. I know 6 carries last week, no targets. I'm going to go back to the well one more time. Dylan has been a layup outside of, last week, weird game in London where the Giants actually had it competitive. Outside of that, I think Dylan's been a layup for 15, 17 touches a week. I'll ride the potential of that at home.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll go Dylan.
And you got a tight end question for us here, Fabian. You have Hurst, so if he misses, who's my emergency pickup? Hunter Henry, Juwan Johnson, Troutman, Colts tight ends, or Cameron Brate. Is Will Dissly out there? That's my question.
Is Dissly out there? I agree.
That's the guy that you want to be attacking this week at the tight end position, because who's Seattle playing? It's a good matchup. The Cardinals, and the Cardinals are giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing tight ends.
They always
Seahawks are giving up the first, so you want to be playing Zach Ertz if you have him. Obviously, he's a must start at this point, but should have a boom week this week. And honestly, he might be flex worthy this week. Because in a PPR format, because the Seahawks are giving up 24 fantasy points to opposing tight ends.
No Will Dissly. So real quick on this, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that much to say because this is a barren land. This is a barren wasteland. Hunter Henry is out. He's not done a whole lot this year, and Cleveland is actually incredibly stingy against opposing tight ends. So I'm not doing that. I'm going Adam Troutman here. It's a top 10 matchup by the numbers, and the past 2 weeks without Jameis Winston and with multiple guys out of the lineup, 2 for 32 and a touchdown. I know it was Taysom Hill fluky. The week before that, 3 for 37. Nothing to write home about. Absolutely nothing to write home about. But it is something. And the matchup is good. Michael Thomas is out. And he did this with the combination of Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill playing quarterback. Michael Thomas is out. Jelani Woods and Mo Alley Cox, like them both. It's a brutal matchup by the numbers for them, and the Colts offense is just not playing very well. I'm going to say Troutman here.
I don't like playing a Colts or a Saints tight end. I know with the pass catchers that are out,
it's bottom of the barrel situation.
The person that I'm saying, if you need to stream a tight end and you're looking at bottom of the barrel options, Evan Ingram had 10 targets last week. No Marvin Jones, to your point that you made earlier on. And you look at the Indianapolis Colts, they're giving up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends with 13 fantasy points. So, I mean, maybe coming off a 10-target week where Marvin Jones is not involved, maybe it's another Evan Ingram week. Playing a defense that can get torched by tight ends. So that is see if Evan Ingram is out there. But if Evan Ingram isn't out there, I mean, go with whoever you like. And if you like Troutman, then go with Troutman. But if there is an option to add an Evan Ingram with those options in mind, I'm doing that. And Drew L, who's looking at CMC?
The team that has
J.K. Dobbins and Danny
Dimes. I mean, you're not doing McCaffrey for Dobbins and Dimes.
No. I mean, pull the trigger on the Henderson deal and then circle back to him depending on what your running back core looks like and see if they're interested in going all out for CMC at that point. But like, it's going to take me a little bit to move off of CMC. George Cook, Sanders and Cooks to get Najee and Christian Kirk half PPR.
No, not both.
That's Brandon Cooks.
Cooks and Sanders.
Brandon Cooks hasn't had a great season. Christian Kirk has outperformed Brandon Cooks. But I would rather have Sanders than Najee.
I'm not crazy. Something about this just doesn't feel right. I don't know why. It doesn't look terrible on paper, but there's just something about this where I'm like kind of meh.
I just don't want Najee. That's the problem.
Najee makes me nervous.
It's Najee in this equation. It's not Sanders or Cooks or Kirk. If there was another running back one and put in there instead of Najee, I'd probably be like, sure. But it's Najee right now, and I don't want any part of Najee.
He's talking about the Rams. The Rams, I mean, with what draft capital?
Yeah, I doubt they're able to.
I'm just jumping down.
No, I don't think he would cost a ton because he's going to cost a ton. You look at his contract; it's like $17 million a season, and so in terms of draft capital back, I mean, they're probably not looking for a first or something of that caliber, but it's still going to be a hefty price to pay to get CMC.
I don't think the Rams are his destination.
No, I don't think he gets moved.
He could. I mean, if they're smart, which they're not, but if they're smart, then they should.
They should try. I just don't see how do you trade a running back with that contract? It's a prohibitive contract. They're already taking on. Aren't they already taking on like Browns Baker Mayfield money into the future?
Yeah, they might. Yeah.
Like they're gonna have to cut Darnold. I don't know if he has one more year on his deal, and they're gonna be able to cut him for no dead money. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know if that any CMC deal gets done. And Fabian, it's all right. You got that chat target share. I like that. That's good. That's good. You got that elite chat target share. Draft Fabian Verka. What do you project for McKenzie this week? And 2, what's your analysis for starting Deion Jackson over DJ Moore? As I'm a Panthers fan. Hashtag fuck rule. Yeah, I'm with you. In terms of McKenzie this week,
projection
6 for 40, like
25% chance to score a touchdown.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Maybe less with Shakir.
With James Cook being a little involved, with Dawson Knox having a chance to score this week.
Maybe more like 15-17% chance to score a touchdown.
Yeah, fine. But it's not going to be a high ceiling week for McKenzie, I don't think. Any given Sunday, especially in this offense, but
sure.
And Deion Jackson over DJ Moore. Look, I mean, Deion Jackson looked real good last week. 5.4 yards per touch on the week. And DJ Moore has nothing but targets so far on the season. I think he has one 11-point week as his ceiling week. I'm not chasing that against a guy who came in 1 week and got more points than I believe DJ Moore got all season. Not an 11-point week, but at least match the point total that DJ Moore has all season against a tough Broncos run defense. Now he's playing Jacksonville, who is a lesser defense to play from a running back points against a fantasy perspective deal. Trying to find out the exact numbers on that. Jacksonville gives up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing running backs.
Yep.
I'm not in on TJ Moore with PJ Walker, fourth string going into the year. He was supposed to be their 4th string quarterback because Matt Corral was supposed to play.
He's a true emergency quarterback.
We have seen 2 starts of PJ Walker and they're not good.
Yeah.
So no, Deion Jackson firmly over DJ Moore. Disley or Hill? Hill. Hill. This week, Hill.
Yeah, I guess.
And Ignatius Pennyfeather, thanks for joining us. Love the name again.
Love
Jacoby
Ignatius.
Myers or ETN PPR. ETN. Pretty handily.
Jacoby is a bit of a PPR monster for the Patriots, but I trust ETN's role a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones, for what it's worth, it's not a guarantee that Bailey Zappi draws another start. Mac Jones did travel with the team. He's listed questionable. They're very clearly holding out hope that Mac Jones can go. So that would be a boost for Jacoby Myers. That being said, I think I would play ETN.
And tight end question here: Fant, Gentry, or Cade Otton? I think we're going Cade Otton, dude.
I guess Otton, just because the Pittsburgh defense is absolutely decimated by injuries.
And I know Cameron Brate is coming back to play this week, logged full practices and all that. But last week when he was out, Cade Otton, 94% snap share, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 43 yards, 10 points. Now, albeit in a tight end premium half PPR league. But still, Otton. Out of those options, I'm just kind of hoping you can find a better option. But out of those options, Otton.
Yeah, of those options, Otton.
But, I mean, is there any other options? Or are there any other options?
It's actually not a great matchup by the numbers. Pittsburgh is a bottom 3rd team as far as fantasy production allowed to tight ends, but they're first to wide receivers. And
I can't recommend Gentry or Fant at this point. Even though I like the offense Fant is playing in, he's not a target in that offense.
Yeah, can't trust him.
So Otton, but I'm trying to find a swerve.
Yeah.
Fabian, if the Panthers trade CMC for a pick and Akers, I will appear on the news for negative reasons. I don't think that's gonna happen, man.
I feel the fandom frustration.
I think you're all right. Akers has another. Akers, I think, just lives out his career on the Rams and is a free agent in 2024 in his age 25 season.
I don't know.
I think it's he's dealing with a mental thing. He clearly missed some reads in the last week's Rams game where he had 13 rushes for 33 yards. Like, there was some wide open running lanes, and you wouldn't have expected that considering the Rams' offensive line. But he just missed jump cuts left and right in holes that were open for him. I think the coaching staff is fed up with the lack of having it all together mentally in terms of what you should be able to achieve from the running back position. Cam Akers might have gotten his feet back under him, but coming back from an injury like that, the mental part of it, and this is, again, all speculation, might be a little bit hard for him to deal with. And I think that's where the issues are coming from right now, if I'm speculating.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know when that gets better. All I know is he is still a young 23-year-old player, and there's time to figure it out. But there's a chance that he becomes the new Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
There's a chance that he just becomes the new Marlon Mack. Which is to say, an Achilles tear running back who's pretty much useless.
His physical abilities
for your fantasy team
were taken from him.
Yeah.
In obviously a horrible development, but we can't rule that out right now.
And hey, whatever the situation is,
I hope I'm wrong. I hope
we get some clarity on it, and I wish the best for him.
Right. Obviously hope for the best, but there is a non-zero chance Akers is not able to physically perform at the level he needs to be able to right now, and that's going to hold him back as far as a running back in this league getting future opportunities. It's a sad potential reality, and I would hope to be wrong about that, but that can't be ruled out right now.
Yeah, he was always a raw running back prospect coming out. He was not a polished elite vision having running back. He did it more off of physical attributes, and it just we'll see. But in his stead, Darrell Henderson becomes a high-end RB1 candidate weekly because he has basically no competition outside of Kyron Williams and Malcolm Brown.
Yeah.
Tyler, should I trade away Derrick Henry and Gabe Davis for Kupp and Josh Jacobs PPR?
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Looks
if you can, I love Gabe Davis, but if you can move from Gabe Davis to Cooper Kupp, and only move down from Derrick Henry to Josh Jacobs, who's performing at an equitable level right now, I'd do that. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. In PPR, that's a win moving from Davis to Kupp.
Yeah, because Kupp is the PPR.
That's monster. A win, Tyler.
Yeah. Do it.
TJ Gaming, should I take Rondale for 4,200?
This was DFS. Is Tyler Boyd, by chance, TJ, in that same range as far as prices? Rondale's gonna be he's a fixture, but that's a pretty bad matchup actually. Seattle, I think, is giving up bottom 5 production to fantasy wide receivers, whereas T. Higgins is questionable, Hayden Hurst is questionable, New Orleans is, I think, a top 10 matchup for opposing wide receivers. Is a Tyler Boyd in that same range, that same price range? That might be a guy that I would try to take advantage of now before his price goes up in the event that Higgins is and maybe Hurst are ruled out. Is that something you could do? Let me know.
Yep.
Tennessee got the dub. Saban is furious.
Interesting factoids. What's going on, man? Gibson, Najee, Henderson, Pickens, pick 2 PPR.
And thanks for subbing.
Absolutely. I didn't see that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for subbing. Appreciate that.
PPR, Henderson, and it's a choice between Pickens and Gordon for me there.
Yeah. Gordon,
but I'm playing Henderson over Najee, and I think I'm playing Gordon and Pickens over Najee too, dude.
Oh, Najee's 4th here.
Yeah.
He's 4th. Henderson is in a juicy, fantastic matchup. Actually, Gordon has the better matchup than Henderson does by the numbers, but I think he is on the road. Henderson's at home. I think I would play Henderson, I think, is in, and then I would go Gordon, safe floor play, Pickens, upside play. If you need some upside, looking at your matchup, I need a guy who's maybe a little bit more has a chance for a big play.
I'm going Gordon over Pickens.
like in every scenario?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, look, he's best matchup, right, by the numbers. The Chargers are getting absolutely crushed on the ground. I think Gordon practiced today. He was limited. Gordon was on the injury report with like a rib injury, but he did log limited practices. What did he do today? Questionable for Monday Night Football. All signs point to him being available for Monday night. However, but it is Monday night. Do you have a backup? Oh, you do. You have Everett. Okay, here's what I would do. Interesting factoids. I'd play Henderson in one of your RB spots. Do you have to play Gordon and Henderson? Do you have another running back like locked in? I would put Gordon in your flex. I would put Pitts in as your tight end. I would put Gordon in as your flex. And I would put Henderson in one of your running back spots. If Gordon is ruled out, then you can swerve to Everett.
There you go.
That makes sense. That's what I would do. Henderson. Hopefully this is your RB2 situation. Yeah. I guess let me know. Do you have a clear-cut RB1? That's how I would play this because Gordon looks like he's actually questionable for Monday Night Football. Henderson in an RB spot. Put Gordon in your flex. If Gordon is ruled out, you can swerve to Everett and put Pitts as your tight end.
There you go. And Pitts or Everett. I'm going Everett in a week where there's no Keenan Allen. I know Pitts is back from injury.
But you might have to protect yourself.
I'm
playing Pitts in my tight end spot because you might need to protect yourself from Gordon, who I want to play on Monday night if he goes. But if he doesn't, then you still have Everett in your back pocket who you could fire up in your flex.
Fair. Yeah, I guess you got to play that game this week.
Always move guys to...
In a vacuum, I am trying to play Everett over Pitts this week, though. But, yeah, considering how you got to move this week.
In this situation.
Yep. Yeah. Cali Loco, Duvernay versus Cleveland at home or Pierce at Tennessee next week. You have A.J. Brown and Gabe Davis on bye next week, so you have to play one.
Let's wait till next week, Cali. And, I not to just dismiss it, but
I
actually don't know what Rashad Bateman's situation is.
That was my point that I was going to bring up. Yep.
I guess Ashton Doolin's not coming back for the Colts because he was put on IR. But, it is a good matchup for Pierce by the numbers. But if Duvernay's the main guy, then I might want to do Duvernay. We don't know what Rashad Bateman's status is yet. Let's worry about next week. Yes. Right?
Yep. I like that you're thinking ahead. Always good to think ahead.
It's fine.
It's
fine. But there's a very
just
important
in terms of our advice that we can give you. We got to take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, our advice will be better next week when we know more.
Lucas Uriarte. What's going on, man?
What's up,
Flex
Luke?
spot, Alec Pierce or Deion Jackson PPR? Deion Jackson, man. He got 4 targets last week and 13 rushes, I believe. I'm chasing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly looked better than Phillip Lindsay. No Nyheim Hines, so and that he went out in I think the second quarter. So there's going to be even another full quarter of work for Deion Jackson to work in. 23 years old, has pretty above average athletic measurables. I like Deion Jackson this week.
I know you're not much of a Alec Pierce guy. I'm a little intrigued with him because Ashton Doolin did go on IR. That's just one less, reliable body. And the past 2 weeks for Pierce, 9 targets, 8 for 81, 6 targets, 4 for 80, and actually 3 for 61 week 3. So he's quietly getting more involved. But let's go one more week as far as waiting on him when you have a starting running back spot start, right? Spot start, definitely some volatility potential there, but he should see 15 touches. So let's do that before I start saying I am intrigued by Alec Pierce. John, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't think you are. But I will say,
I have to become more intrigued by him just by nature of the fact that he has been producing 8 for 81 a few weeks ago, or maybe that was last week.
8 for 81 was last week.
4
for 80 week 4, 3 for 60 week 3. So he's getting involved. And Ashton Doolin is gone for 4 games minimum.
Yeah, so I mean, you gotta.
I'm gonna go spot start running back though for 1 more week. I agree on Deion Jackson here. I just want to call out Pierce is
he's doing all right. He's doing all right, and it is coming at the expense of Michael Pittman, and we all know that. Well, I don't know. I don't know what happens. It's just, yes, I was not high on Alec Pierce. He has shown more than I thought he would early on in his career thus far. We'll see.
We'll see. But if he has another strong week this week, then we're starting him next week. But I'll take the spot start running back for now.
Yep. Cameron Petrie, Mostert or Devonta Smith, no PPR. Even with no PPR, man, like 11 targets last week, Devonta Smith.
I mean, Mostert is playing the Vikings at home.
Minnesota's giving up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing running backs with 21.7 per week.
Mostert missed practice with the knee injury Wednesday, declared himself like going to play on Thursday, logged limited sessions in practice Thursday and Friday. You know what I want to know in this situation? Is it going to rain in Miami? I'm going to look up the weather. I am going to get here. Let's put a pin in this question because I'm going to look up the weather in Miami. Can you move to the next question?
Absolutely. Alex Watts, thanks for joining, man. Much appreciated.
What's up, Alex?
Please rank rest of season Elijah Moore, Bateman, Lazard, Sky Moore, and James Cook. Rest of season, it's Bateman, assuming he can get healthy. He's the number 1. And then it's, Lazard. For me, Lazard. Yep. And then between Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, and James Cook, it is, for me, Elijah Moore. And then it's Sky Moore, and then it's James Cook. But I am not high on Sky Moore this year. No. I'm not particularly high on Elijah Moore rest of season. And the only players out of this group of players that you're asking about that I am at any point, high on, it's Bateman and Lazard. I like Elijah Moore. I love Elijah Moore, the talent. I think he is one of the most criminally underutilized wide receivers in the league. I think he is one of the best route runners in the league. And it sucks that he's on a team that, has a Corey Davis, has a Tyler Conklin, is spreading it around, and doesn't have a gunslinger at quarterback yet. Sky Moore, love the situation. He hasn't shown enough to where he can even be a guy to replace Juju Smith-Schuster yet. So, yeah, Bateman and Lazard, then Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, James Cook. Different tiers, though, for sure. Do you have an answer for your question?
Going back to Mostert versus Devontae, I think I might actually slightly lean Mostert as long as he's active. 19 touches last week, 18 the week before. He has taken this backfield. It's a great matchup. Looks like about a 20% chance of rain at kickoff. I would expect, in those scenarios when they're calling for rain like 16, 18 hours before kickoff, there's usually a good chance by that point the storm moves out of the area. Like what you're dealing with has moved on. That's just like that's just an estimation of low probability. That's actually lower than you would actually think, depending on like looking at weather patterns 18 hours out. I would expect things to clear up as long as it's not. Keep an eye on the weather. Who has it? Cameron. Cameron, keep an eye on the weather in Miami tomorrow. Like, check the weather reports. If you have, if they do live look-ins on the NFL Network or whatever in Miami, just check things. You can always check weather reports on Twitter as well, or whatever your sources for information is. As long as if the conditions are clear in Miami, I'm starting Mostert. If there's rain, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned about the knee injury that he had in practice. Like the weather can, like sloppy field potential. I might be a little bit more worried about him. Then I'm going to start Devonta Smith. But I will start the running back in standard as long as the conditions in Miami tomorrow are clear.
There you go. And Alec Watts, thanks again for joining. Interesting factoids. Don't see your team in here, but you are awesome too. Throw your team in the chat, though. Cali Loco, have to pick up Pierce on Wired. Have Duvernay now. Okay.
Keep Duvernay for now because he's gonna have another week as the guy tomorrow.
Yep.
Keep Duvernay for now, but definitely Pierce is on the watch list for sure. Absolutely, he is.
Alex Watts, Deion Jackson, or Allen Lazard?
Lazard in full PPR. Go with the guy who has like Aaron Rodgers potentially wide receiver 1 upside.
Yeah, I mean it's again it's getting close.
Yeah.
It's close for me.
I'll go Lazard like in full PPR. Give me the wide receiver, like Aaron Rodgers, wide receiver 1 at home. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping on Deion Jackson's 4 targets last week, 4 catches.
I hear you. How many targets did Lazard have in London?
I'm assuming more than 4, but then you have to factor in he's getting 13
No,
rushes on the ground and red zone work because it's not going to
8.
Phillip Lindsay.
He had 8, and in a tough matchup, 4 for 35 and a score. I'll bank on him getting a score. Either a score or a 75, 80 yard performance. I'll in full PPR. I'll take Lazard at home.
And we're split. Normally I would go edge wide receiver, but I do really like Deion Jackson this week. Tyler Sperry, Patriots or Bengals defense.
So it's just a brutal matchup for New England by the numbers.
Bengals.
Jacoby Brissett has been doing a really good job. The
Bengals.
Actually, New Orleans is a top 5 team in fantasy points allowed to opposing defenses. Even though they're on the road, I would go Cincinnati.
Yep. Fabian, in a 12-man league, would you be comfortable dropping Christian Watson if the chance comes around? I mean, it depends for who.
Depends on the chance.
Yeah, let us know if you have a specific situation in mind or in your case. But, I mean, yeah, it just depends on the situation. I'm not dropping him just for anybody at this point. Callie, have Mooney versus New England, but that's a no-go if I don't want to drop him. If I don't want to drop him for Pierce.
Yeah, you're not dropping Mooney. And we'll worry about that next week.
Yep. Homer Simpson in the chat. I have to start 1 in the flex. Zeke, Deontay, Boyd, and Njoku, Duvernay. Deontay. Yep.
Relatively safe floor.
Eric Espino.
Last week was, I think, his only bad week.
Yeah.
He's been like a 10, 11, 12 half PPR type of player.
He's been a 10, 11, 12 target a week player.
Yeah.
So you just keep rolling him out there.
Yeah, hope for the best.
He's been getting the floor on those 12 targets, but he's been getting 10, 11, 12 targets every week.
He's been the king of like just missing like on like toe tap touchdowns. It's just like one will break his way one of these weeks.
You would hope so. Eric Espino, have PPR league, drop James Robinson for Henderson rest of season. I'm not trying to, but if I must drop James,
who else can you drop?
Yeah,
there's got to be somebody else.
I'm definitely trying to pick up Henderson, but James Robinson, he's an injury away from a full-time workload again. Like he's a handcuff that you want.
Yeah.
And chat, I hope you helped out Tyler Sperry.
Yeah, Tyler's crowdsourced, but the Bengals, and actually it's not close.
It's not for me either.
The Bengals, it's not close.
Luke, I am going with Deion over Pierce too.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with Deion over Pierce. I can't do Deion over Lazard.
Alec Pierce over Michael Gallup Sunday. No, not if CeeDee Lamb is out, which is the speculation.
Yeah.
Here's your squad interesting factoids. Dak, Cousins, Saquon Cook, Henderson, Najee, Madison, Higgins, Sutton, CD, Gabe Davis, Pickens, Dubs, Michael Thomas, Pitts, Everett. It's a 3 wide receiver, 3 running back, 1 flex, 1 QB league. Solid squad, dude.
Yeah, and you have Saquon. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, having Henderson definitely helps there. Cook and Madison, good. Handcuff to have there. Higgins, Sutton, CD, Gabe, Pickens, Dubs, Thomas, all wide receivers we like. We like both of your tight ends. Solid.
It's a good team.
Yep. And Brissett's underrated as far as at this point.
I mean, I get it. It's Belichick, but this is not the
It's not the Belichick of old.
Years past. Brissett
it's not the Belichick of old.
He's at home, and he doesn't. He can limit his damage when he can just turn around and hand the ball off to Nick Chubb. Bengals, it's a much better matchup.
And I'm ready to throw out the Belichick mystique at this point. Like combined, like the NFL has passed him by. He doesn't have the Brady to bail him out anymore. Like I'm kind of all in on everything we used to say about Belichick isn't true anymore. He doesn't have the number one corner. He sold him off last season in J.C. Jackson to the Chargers. Like, I'm not.
They're not bad.
I'm not scared of Belichick defense anymore. That's not a narrative I'm scared of anymore.
Well, I mean, he still knows how to coach defense. I'm just not. I'm not buying. I'm not buying Jacoby Brissett as far as like target him when the Browns are actually one of the worst offenses for opposing defenses for fantasy purposes. They don't turn the ball over.
Look at Baker Mayfield right now and versus what he was on the Browns. On the Browns, he was a middle of the road quarterback because that roster elevated him.
Yeah.
And he goes to a middle of the pack roster and he looks like tire fire. Like Brissett is, I mean, he's getting propped up by the offense around him too. So I'm not targeting the Patriots. And interesting factoids, we rated your squad. Good squad. Yep. Cali Loco, how about a dart throw on Gaskins to stash? He outsnapped and outproduced Edmonds lately with Mostert ailing. Not going that far.
Not crazy. Nah, I can't do that. Gaskins not very good.
And Iron, you're speaking to Nick. Nick loves man. Tom Petty.
I love Tom Petty, man. I love Tom Petty.
Fabian, Christian Watson for Sky Moore? Nah. D. Linney, team was discussing if Christian Watson needs extended sit to get healthy. His hammies have been a problem since training camp. Have dropped him because of bye week needs.
Yeah, and that's not a hold.
Yeah.
But if I guess you could take Sky Moore over Christian Watson, but like either one they're both we'll see dart throws right now. Probably more than Watson, even if Watson has to miss a couple of games.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't move the needle for me. If I'm holding one, dart throw for another, I might as well just hold the one dart throw that at least has done a couple of things.
Absolutely.
And
Eric, it's Kittle by far.
Kittle, and it's actually a good matchup for him. Like, let's see if he can actually fire this week.
Yeah.
And Hurst is on the injury report. Kittle. Even if he wasn't Kittle. You got to just keep going back to that well and hope he hits.
And interesting factoids. Hope that helps. Cameron Hauser, good to see you. Sit Deion Jackson or Melvin Gordon in your RB2 slot.
You can't play both? If you can't play both, then what's the rest?
If I had rankings, dude, these guys would be back-to-back.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play Melvin Gordon. The problem is he's questionable going into Monday night.
Right.
Sounds like he's expected to play, but we've seen plenty of guys expected to play actually sit.
So if you don't want to play the game of is he going to sit, is he going to start, who do I put in if he sits, just play Deion Jackson because he's pretty close to where Melvin Gordon is in the rankings, even though he doesn't quite present the same upside that he does.
Yeah.
I would just advocate in that position because you don't want to play the who should I start if he doesn't play game. I'm just starting Deion Jackson. You picked him up for last week, for this week. Use him for the 1 week that he has viability.
Yeah, I want to know if you have another guy on Monday night that you could pivot to if Gordon is a surprise. Like, maybe not surprise, but if Gordon ends up getting ruled out, I would just want to know who, if anybody, are your options to pivot to on Monday night. That's what I want to know before I give you a definitive answer.
There you go.
Because I want to play Melvin. I do. I would. I mean, he's older, but this is a talent level situation, and it's as good a matchup as you can get. Like, this is a great matchup for Melvin Gordon. So I would prefer to play him. But if you have no Monday night alternatives to turn to, I can understand not wanting to play that game of will he play or won't he.
No, I mean, the Chargers have allowed 3 consecutive 100-yard rushes in the last 3 games.
Yep.
It's a solid matchup for Melvin Gordon.
Scrimmage last week,
though he is a 28-year-old running back coming off of an injury, so you do have to factor that in. Fresher legs for Deion Jackson, but yeah, the better matchup is definitely in Melvin Gordon's favor.
Yeah, and he's the vet.
Yeah. So edge Melvin Gordon, but if you don't want to play that start-sit game, Deion Jackson's a solid swerve.
Yeah.
Alec Watts, please pick 2 for this week. Pittman, Lazard, Dobbins, Deion Jackson, Taysom Hill. Lazard and Pittman. Is it what's the format? First off,
Yeah, I guess I want to. I mean,
is it Lazard? Well, I just said Deion Jackson over Lazard, didn't I?
Lazard and you did. I would say Lazard and Dobbins. Depending.
I guess I would say Pittman and Dobbins, just because I'm one more week of Pittman. I preached it earlier on in this live stream. It's one more week of Pittman for me, and Dobbins is a middle of the road start, but Dobbins is a talent tier break over Deion Jackson, and I'm not starting Taysom Hill unless I have to.
Yeah, I would say Lazard and Dobbins. I'll take Aaron Rodgers, wide receiver 1 at home, given the fact that the Colts have struggled the way they have.
And I'm giving Pittman one last shot before I sit him all year for the rest of the year for Lazard. But Dobbins and Pittman.
Not
for
all
me.
year. It's just like, you got to show something.
Yeah, and a bye week fill in. But like he went from being a wide receiver 2 for me, who I was hopeful would perform like a wide receiver 1, to a guy who's a flex option at this point.
Yeah.
D. Lenny, you've been stashing Wandale and Shakir. Shakir becomes an every week option if Diggs, Gabbs, and McKenzie miss time. I mean, every week option, no. Every week flex, sure. And that's really only if Gabe and Diggs miss time. If McKenzie misses time, he's more of a desperation flex with some upside. But those are decent stashes. Don't have an issue with it. Cameron Petrie, 10-team, no PPR, pick 2 for the flex, Devonta Smith, Mostert, Ramondre Stevenson, Waddle, and Pittman. No PPR. Ramondre Stevenson for sure.
No PPR.
And, I mean, we talked about if you're going for upside, Pittman or Smith, who would you rather play? It's Smith, but would you go Mostert over Smith?
So this was earlier when I was talking about the weather. Again, I would fire up Ramondre, and then again, Cameron, if the weather looks good in Miami tomorrow, Mostert. If not, Devontae.
No,
I would start Devontae over Waddle and Pittman.
I didn't see that up above. My bad.
Yeah. Ramondre is in, and then Mostert if the weather looks good in Miami, Devontae if it doesn't.
Yep. Eric Espino, hope that helps. Thanks for chilling. D. Linney, if Robbie Anderson sits, Terrace Marshall is a dart throw this week. Could be, but again, with PJ Walker, I'm not taking dart throws on that offense. I'm just not. Fabian Verka
do something, but
yeah. Fabian, with the CMC trade news, shall I go get Hubbard in case we go full tank?
Sure.
Why not?
I mean,
sure.
If you have the space, depends on who you're dropping.
Yep.
Sure.
Tim Shields.
But for what it's worth, Chuba was not good in McCaffrey's absence last year.
And Tyson, I can just say Deion Jackson. I think we're both there. Tim Shields got Chase and a throw in Algier for Godwin and Clyde. I threw in B-Rob for room for bye week. Okay, so Chase and Algier and B-Rob for Goodwin and Clyde.
You got Chase and Algier for
Goodwin and
Clyde and Brian Robinson. That's a lot.
That's a lot, man.
I
like going from Godwin to Chase, but at this point, that isn't much of a jump.
It's not. I really
Chase
like
is the
Godwin
wide receiver 14 right now. He's not performing like the wide receiver 1, 2, 3 like he was last year through 5 weeks. I have to say I don't love that move.
Yeah, Tim, I'm sorry to say, Chase and Algier for Godwin, Clyde, and Brian Robinson, I think he gave up too much.
And D. Linney, I'm gonna speculate more on the McCaffrey stuff when we get some concrete reports. We can speculate all we want about teams that might be cool. That McCaffrey might look cool in terms of the jersey and the offensive scheme and all that stuff. But until some hard news comes out about McCaffrey, and in my estimation, it's all like a speculation.
And the Rams and Bills can't afford him.
Rams and Bills can't afford him. Niners, I doubt it's part of their game plan right now.
Cap space.
The Broncos, they have bigger situation they have bigger problems. I guess the Niners would be the one, but the Broncos have bigger problems to figure out. Tim, do you think Pittman and Clyde would have been good enough for Chase? I mean, yeah,
maybe.
And I think I would have felt better about trading Pittman than Godwin, knowing what I know about how those offenses should function moving forward. Because you got Algier, but you threw in B-Rob. Would rather have B-Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not crazy about the trade, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But good luck, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hope it works out for you and your squad. You never know, depending on the makeup of your team. You never know how that could help you late in the year. D. Linney, McKenzie has more touchdowns, receptions, and fantasy points than Gabe in games that both are active this year.
Yeah,
dude, I don't
mean to be disrespectful, but that means nothing to me.
That's looking too much into the weeds to find a reason.
Gabe was on the injury report leading into weeks 2 and 3. The ankle injury was clearly, or weeks 3 and 4, excuse me. The ankle injury was clearly not something he was 100% over in those 2 games when McKenzie did well. I mean, we saw, look what happened last week when Gabe was off the injury report all week and practiced in full. Gabe clears head and shoulders above McKenzie. Like this, and I don't think you're questioning the talent, but that means I'm not concerned about that at all.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
me neither.
And Shakir's going to cut into McKenzie's workload
somewhat,
not Gabe's.
Sebastian, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, and Alexander Madison for Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, Jamal Williams, and Kenneth Walker, and Zach Ertz. Full PPR redraft. I mean, you never want to be on the side giving up Jamar Chase and Mark Andrews. Alexander Madison is just, he's a throw-in at this point in a trade like this. But Aaron Jones, Mike Williams, Kenneth Walker, Zach Ertz, depending on who your tight end is, could be your number one. I mean, Jamal Williams is a very solid RB2, RB3 flex type. That is a very enticing package. I like that.
I'm taking the Aaron Jones package.
Because you can start 3 to 4 of those guys weekly.
You're starting 4 of them this week. Aaron Jones, Mike Williams,
you're
Kenneth
starting
Walker,
Ertz,
and Zach Ertz.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Take the package.
No, normally I would say no to a trade involving Jamar Chase and Mark Andrews unless you're getting elite options back, but just the pure numbers on the other side.
The volume, and it's all good players.
Yeah, it's all good talent. Yep.
Yeah. Take it.
Cameron Hauser sit between Miles Sanders, Eno Benjamin, James Robinson, and Raheem Mostert. You need 2. Eno and Miles Sanders this week, dude.
Yeah.
Eno should get all of the work for the Cardinals against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And Miles Sanders should see a ton of work and has a chance to bounce back and have a ceiling week this week.
75% of the snaps last week for Miles.
Yeah.
It's not a great matchup by the numbers, but at home, behind that offensive line, the Eagles are a good bet on the ground. You need Jalen Hurts to not vulture 2 touchdowns, which is always in play. But I'll take Miles and Eno. Robinson's workload has been decreasing, and Mostert's on the injury report. Eno and Sanders.
Yep. And Fabian, hope all our advice helped, and I hope you have a good night, and good luck this week to you too. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow morning.
We'll be here tomorrow morning if you need anything else.
Tim Shields, I think, I don't know if I like B-Rob. I know.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I just gonna say I like him enough to say I think he's way too much in that trade. It looks like you were able to cancel. That's good. I'm happy. Like to that point, I'm very happy you kept your side.
Yeah.
And he has a big role in that. So yeah, I like him. Could Gibson be used more than he was used Thursday night? Sure. But
how much more? No,
Robinson's the RB1 in that offense for, they clearly don't believe in Gibson to the degree that I think they should. What I think doesn't matter to them, obviously. They want to rock with B-Rob as their guy, and that could mean more work for Gibson. But Robinson got 17 carries and was first man up on the goal line. He's absolutely spectacular depth to have right now. And it could be before long where he's a mainstay in your starting lineup as an RB2.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my thing with B-Rob is, and I struggle with this because I know where I thought of him coming into the league is clearly different than where what the coaching staff thinks of him. I just think he's one of those running backs who he'll get you what is there. He's not an exciting, explosive guy. He's not going to be all in the end zone all the time. He's not I even think Dameon Pierce is a better talent than Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson's kind of like one of those plotter backs who is, if he can reach his ceiling, is fantasy viable for 1 to 2 seasons and then goes the way of Jordan Howard type. That's how I feel about Brian Robinson. So it's kind of a struggle for me to reconcile it with the value of what he presents this season. But yeah, for this season,
I think that's a very good dynasty way to look at him.
Yeah, but for this season, he's the 1 to 2 running back as a rookie, which is what you want.
Probably got top 20
coaching
upside
staff likes him.
Season.
Yeah,
he's probably got top 20 upside rest of the season. So
low end RB2 or rest of the year.
Yeah, I would put him probably around, I guess, the RB 18 or ish.
He'd be in the 20s, but 20 through 24 for me.
Yeah, I mean, fine, but the upside is there.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, like him. If you can do Chase and Algier for Clyde and Pittman, then sure.
And you're giving up Clyde and Pittman, or are you getting Clyde and Pittman?
He'd be getting Chase and Algier. I'm not crazy about Algier, but
that was going to be my point there. I don't like Tyler Algier. I gotta be completely honest with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, but there is an opportunity there for him.
Yeah. And yeah, you have J-Rob, Monty, Kenneth Walker, Eno, and Michael Carter on your bench.
Collection of talent, but there's no high end. There's no
package a few of them to get a high end guy. Like, can you package James Robinson and Montgomery? You have Walker, don't want to give him up. Have Eno, don't want to give him up. And Michael Carter's a solid backup handcuff. But I would, if those guys are on your bench, I would package Montgomery and J-Rob for a guy that you feel more confident starting. As well, on top of the trade that you're trying to make. But we have come to the end of the chat here. I just want to say thank you to everybody that subscribed. Thank you to anybody that became I don't think anybody became a member today, but thank you to anybody that subscribed. Okay. It's a fun stream today. We got another one tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST. We typically go for 2.5 to even 3 hours up until kickoff. And it's the first time we'll be doing this Sunday morning stream without a London game airing at the same time over the course of the last few weeks. So so come join us. If you have any questions, you would just want to chill, 10 a.m. tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Everybody have a good night.